Mostly sunny today. We're heading for a top of 28 degrees. With the 6 o'clock news, good morning. I'm Kate Collins.
Need a crash repairer you can trust? FIVEAA Panel Services delivers expert care to you and your vehicle.
The Mustard Seed restaurant in Hahndorf has been destroyed by fire. Around 70 firefighters and a dozen appliances responded to the blaze on Main Street around 8:30 last night. Lauren from the nearby House restaurant says flames could be seen bursting from the windows.
Quite a raging fire down the road from where we were. It looks pretty bad, but as far as I'm aware, I don't believe anyone was injured.
The Indian and Mediterranean restaurant was closed at the time and no one was on site. The damage bill is estimated at upwards of $2 million. The federal government claims it will lower the regulatory burden for major mining and energy projects. Under the proposal, the states and territories will be able to issue environmental approvals on the Commonwealth's behalf. The Prime Minister says it will speed up the process and stop investors from quitting important projects. King Charles is calling for reconciliation and renewal between the US and UK during his visit to the United States. He's become just the second British monarch to address Congress. US President Donald Trump using an earlier speech to hail the lasting strength of the alliance since the War of Independence.
We share that same root. We speak the same language. We hold the same values. And together our warriors have defended the same extraordinary civilization under twin banners of red, white and blue.
Analysts are expected to fuel crisis triggered by the conflict in Iran will take Australia's overall inflation rate towards 5%. The ABS will today release the Consumer Price Index for March, a measure closely watched by the Reserve Bank to understand overall price pressures. Experts are urging parents to avoid taking medical advice off sites such as TikTok. New research has found the cost of living crisis is showing a decline in general doctors' visits across the country. AMA President Dr Nick Yim says not everything online is correct.
And what are the repercussions if they get it wrong? I think it's one of those things as whilst we all wish that there was a magic pill to fix everything, we need to take the history into examination and see it as an alternative diagnosis, and that's where your GP comes in handy.
Jared Dawson, the brother of Crows captain Jordan Dawson, will be farewelled by family and friends today. A celebration of life will be held at the Robe Football Club. The 35-year-old is survived by his wife and baby son. Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
Gliderol Garage Doors, over 50 years strong. All colours, all styles, all street appeal. Gliderol.com.au.
And it's good morning to Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Kate. The Crows have had a chance to look at several players at the club's main training session, which was held last night at Adelaide Oval. Now, midfielder Jake Saligo, he looks a certainty to return for Showdown 59 on Friday night, while Dan Curtin could also come back in. Both players got through the session, as did Darcy Fogarty, who's also an outside chance to play. He's missed the last 4 weeks because of a back issue. Meantime, at Port Adelaide, Todd Marshall could come straight back into the team after missing last week through illness. Let's stick with footy. The AFL's set to announce changes to the draft bidding system for father, son and academy selections. It'll see grand finalists hit with a loading on bids, while those in the bottom spots of the ladder will receive a discount. Carlton is one club believed to be at a disadvantage, with father-son Cody Walker expected to be one of the top picks this year. Brownlow medalist James Hurd telling Footy Classified it's unfair on the Blues.
How is this fair?
Well, which bit?
Well, the fact that Brisbane can pick up Will Ashcroft for junk.
Yeah.
Picks in the 30s and 40s, and they've got to pick probably a first rounder and a second rounder at minimum.
Absolutely spot on there, James Hurd. It's the same for Port Adelaide. They're going to now have to pay a lot more for Dougie Cochrane, so we'll see how that one unfolds. And in a little bit of soccer news, an absolute cracker is unfolding in the European Champions League as we speak. It's leg one of the semi-final tie between Paris Saint-Germain and also Bayern Munich. PSG currently leading 5-4. There are still 15 minutes to play, 9 goals already in that match. Extraordinary, Kate. That is the FIVEAA Sport.
Thanks so much, Tommy. Now turning to the FIVEAA forecast. Mostly sunny today. We're heading for a top of 28 degrees. Warm and 28 again tomorrow, but partly cloudy. Mostly sunny and up to 29 for your Friday before a showery change on Saturday, 25 the top, and then dropping down to just 18 degrees and showers forecast for Sunday. Right now, it's 12 degrees on FIVEAA, always Adelaide.
Your lawn is about to face its toughest months of the year. Are you prepared?
Lawn Hub's Amateur Pack has everything you need to get your lawn through winter and out the other side looking lush and green. But you need to start now. Pre-emergent weed control, cold weather fertiliser, wetting agent and more, all in home-friendly sizes with a step-by-step application calendar. Plus, order this month and you're in the draw to win a $3,000 BP fuel voucher. Lawnhub.com.au. I grow mine with Lawn Hub.
You can rent a little, you can rent a lot.
Whatever you're doing, wherever you're going, you can rely on Red Spot to get you there. We're the all-Aussie family-owned car rental company in airport terminals and cities across Australia, with a new fleet and plenty of hybrid options too. Experience the exceptional service that earned us Product Review's 2026 Car Hire Service of the Year. Book direct and save now at redspot.com.au today, or call 1300 66 8810.
Red Spot.
The global fuel shortage is affecting us all. To keep Australia moving, the government has been working to secure fuel supply and has put in place the 4-level National Fuel Security Plan. We're now at level 2 and we all have our part to play. Simple actions like driving less and finding more efficient ways to use your car will help our supply go further and save fuel for our truckies, farmers and essential services. Every little bit helps. For fuel saving tips, visit fuelplan.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Hello, Frank Walker from National Tiles. Bring your home to life from just $1,000 at our famous May Spend and Save. Right now, from just $1,000, you can bring your home to life with beautiful National Tiles for your entire family room and kitchen floors, or all your bathroom walls and floors. Yes, from just $1,000, with all National Tiles reduced. Absolutely no exceptions, but you'll have to be quick. So rush into National Tiles or go online now and save. Conditions apply.
Come and join the team on FIVEAA.
Knock down, build 2 with Metro Homes. Move into one and keep the other as an investment. Metro Homes, they do it all for you.
Live from Hindmarsh Square, it's FIVEAA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Wednesday on FIVEAA Breakfast. It is the 29th of April. The show with a difference this morning. David Penberthy is off, so you will be my co-host right throughout the morning. Looking forward to chatting about all the big things going on around Adelaide on 8223 0000. We start with a really sad story for people up in the hills in Harndorf. I suspect the footprint's a little bit bigger than this as well. The Mustard Seed restaurant sounds like has been engulfed in a horrific fire overnight. Is it your local? Is it somewhere you've loved going to? Are you in Harndorf? We'd love to hear from you. We will be crossing to the scene very, very shortly on this morning. So give us a buzz on 8223 0000 if you can tell us about the Mustard Seed. But that sounds like a very sad local business story. The most confusing story in Australia, and I think the world at the moment, is a little data point called the oil price. I was in the habit of coming in here and talking about the oil price when this conflict in the Middle East first started, because it was a pretty good predictor, or so we thought, of where petrol prices would go. And I've stopped doing it because it's proven not to be that good. And I'll give you the easiest example. Right now, the oil barrel price is higher than it's been at any point in the conflict. And yet, Fuel Watch yesterday said petrol's about $1.70 a litre. It's been around $3. Why is that the case? Shane Oliver, the AMP's chief economist, will join us to talk about that this morning. We may well be facing the hottest showdown we've ever seen, not in terms of the heat and the conflict, although it might be, just weather-wise. It's going to be a warm week. Our resident stats man, Ben Jordan, will take us through the hot showdowns of history. Have you got a flying ant infestation in your suburb? Facebook groups around Adelaide are alight with people saying flying ants are driving them bonkers. Local sporting clubs with those big extendable lights are saying that flying ants are everywhere. We're going to be chatting with an insect expert about what the heck is going on here, but if you've spotted it, I'd love to find out where. Also on the program, David Koch will join us. Big day for inflation today. There's going to be a really scary number, I suspect we're going to hear at around 10:30, 11 o'clock this morning. Target band 2 to 3. It's going to have a 4 in front of it, I'd suspect. And also, the man with the biggest job in South Australia right now, the Electoral Commission SA reviewer, former Australian Electoral Commissioner Tom Rogers. In preparation for chatting with the man charged with fixing the Electoral Commission, I thought it'd be an interesting exercise this morning just to go through a little dot point list for those that maybe haven't been keeping up with how the election went here in South Australia. It's staggering when you put it all together. So the Electoral Commission here in SA failed to pay staff that worked on the day. They employed new technology that failed so spectacularly that people arrived to vote and found they couldn't. Votes were lost. I mean, this is the most mind-boggling component of the whole thing. Votes were lost, and we're still finding them. And now we found in the last 24 hours that the Legislative Council vote, so the upper house here, pretty fundamental to how our whole system works, that vote's still going. Parliament's meant to be back next week. The suggestion is they'll get it done the day before. Big job for the man charged with reviewing the Electoral Commission here in South Australia. So looking forward to that chat after 8 o'clock today as well. But I wanted to invite this morning, and I figure it's probably a good early morning discussion point, our professional drivers, courier drivers, I'm thinking, Uber drivers, taxi drivers, food service delivery drivers. If you're listening this morning, probably less truckies, albeit if this tweaked something for you and you think, actually, I've got something to say about this. We'd love to hear from you as well on 8223 0000. But I was talking to Patrick, our excellent producer, yesterday about it feels like every day at the moment we do our Say-Pole cross at 6:40 and there's some other poor person who's been carjacked. There's another person who has been turning up to deliver things from an Amazon order in the middle of the day and they found their truck pinched. And lo and behold, yesterday we had 2 such incidents. A man arrested after trying to steal a courier van in Prospect yesterday at 10 a.m, broad daylight, Tuesday, 28th of April. The courier driver left his vehicle to make a delivery, got back in the van. Someone else was sitting in the driver's seat. The person looked like they'd been sitting there waiting to catch a bus at a bus stop. Turned out that wasn't the case, and then this happened.
The doors were kind of half open, and so the door ended up being kind of flung all the way open when it crashed into the tree. It's amazing, really. I mean, there's always the chance that these things end up in a real nasty way.
They get in a scuffle behind the wheel, and thankfully no one's hurt. No one in the broader public is hurt as the car smashes into a tree. Also, yesterday, the night before, but into yesterday morning, after 6:30 p.m, again, not exactly the middle of the night, Monday night, a man's making a delivery on Hanson Road at Mansfield Park. 2 people jumped in his Toyota Camry and drove off. If you're a courier driver, if you're a professional driver, if you're a transport worker, do you feel targeted at the moment? Do you feel particularly vulnerable? Have you changed your behaviour? I reckon it's given the number of these stories that are coming out, that first story might tell a bit of a bigger picture about this. I reckon it was probably normal. I've never done a courier shift in my life, but I'm guessing it was probably pretty normal once upon a time to turn up at a premises with the engine running, jump out, deliver your parcel. What's going to go wrong? Well, as we've seen in these 2 instances, something quite dramatic can go wrong. So have you changed your behaviour? Do you feel under threat? Love to hear from our professional drivers this morning. Are these just isolated incidents, or is there a change out there, and do you feel less safe? As I say, no David this morning, so you are my co-host. Looking forward to you being on the show. 8223 0000 is the number, or you can text us on 0448 08 1395. The other thing that's happened overnight whilst you've been sleeping, the King addressed Congress in the US, a wide-ranging speech. He spoke for about half an hour. You're going to hear lots of it over the morning, but we'll break it down. Australia does come up.
We are building F-35s together, and we have agreed the most ambitious submarine program in history, AUKUS. And we are doing it in partnership with Australia, a country of which I'm also immensely proud to serve as sovereign.
So it's the King addressing Congress. He mentioned Australia in that context. We got to mention in terms of the importance of the US allies. The King, and you'll hear this when we play a bit more of the audio, and he uses some humour and acknowledges the, absurdity of the fact that you've got the monarch turning up to celebrate 250 years of US independence, which of course was achieved by fighting against the monarch. He has the same ability that his mother had. And maybe it's just sort of a required ability of all royals, but he has the same wonderful ability that his mother had to say poignant things in a very gentle way. He can say allies are important without saying, you have forsaken your allies. He can talk about the environment without saying that the world's going to be over within 5 years if we keep going down this path. just this a certain tact that I wasn't sure King Charles had until I was listening to that speech overnight. We'll get into that after 7 o'clock. I wonder if anyone else heard it. Love to hear your thoughts. 044808 1395 or 8223 0000. Join us for a chat. We're off to Hahndorf very shortly. The poor old Mustard Seed restaurant, which is engulfed in fire, with the subject of that conversation. In fact, before we get there, let's go to Beaumont because Yuri has called in. Morning to you, Yuri.
Hello, and I'll do it civilly. Go the D's.
Go the D's. That's Yuri. Come on. Go.
How are you?
I'm good, Yuri. Give us a proper go the D's.
Go the D's.
There you go. Thank you, sir.
What's happening? Talk to me. I was getting the coffee at work. Talk to me.
Hey, you're a delivery driver, Yuri. We've had a whole stack of delivery drivers under attack in not just the last 24 hours, the last few weeks. People that drive for a living, you leave the engine on, do a delivery, people jump in the car. Are you concerned by what you're seeing out there? Have you changed your behaviours over the years since you've been doing this?
Well, with the company I work at, if we leave the keys in our car, or it's strict instruction. We cannot leave the engine running. We cannot leave the keys in the car. We have very, very strict rules at our company, so you wouldn't want to be doing that.
Is that a new thing?
Meat. Oh, no, it's standard at the old Team Global Express. Yuri works that. I'll advertise my company.
Yeah, go for it.
Best company in the world. And no, look, we're very, very strict rules about that, boys. You cannot leave your keys in your car. If you do that or whatever, you are, even if it might be safe, but you just don't take any chances. If they find out you've done that, you are dead meat, this company. We have very, very strict rules regarding that.
Do you ever feel in danger at all when you're out in the wee hours of the morning or in the middle of the day? Sometimes it's just you and in some secluded spot.
Oh, yeah. I go to Wake Campus up the top there. Sometimes I go up the very top there. I see people walking up. They take this shortcut. They seem to take up Wake Road all the way up to the hill. Sometimes I park my vans. I do see people sort of looking in the van. Very often you see people looking into your vans. I've got darkened windows in my van on the side and the back. So obviously you do as much as you can to protect yourself.
And is it worse now than when you started driving?
Oh, yeah, I see a lot of people, even in town. I do an afternoon pick up in town. People like to stop and see what's happening, and you have to be very, very careful. Even if you got a bunch of boxes on the side of your van, you're going to make sure you keep an eye on them, because people just like to look and see what's happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Exactly. I tell you something else here. I'm coming down Greener Road this morning. I'm doing 60. I was doing 55 kilometres an hour. Slowly speeding up the 60 chilling off of Devereux Road there, and this guy in this damn scooter, I was doing 55 and he overtook me.
You see that a lot at the moment, don't you?
Oh, my
God. They're meant to have speed limiters on them, Yuri.
Oh, give me a break. It going like it. Then I went 60 all the way down to Fuller, and I stuck on 60 behind from a distance, and he was the same distance from me. So he was doing exactly 60 on I don't know how they do it. They are very, very silly. They fall off, mate. They're dead.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, good on you, Yuri, mate. Appreciate it. Good to chat. Thank you for that. 8223 0000 is the number. Anyone got one of these? Call in anonymously if you like. These, what do they call them? Cracked scooters, where their speed limiting technology exists, but they're made so easy to overcome that essentially there's no limit. Can anyone explain that process to me? Any scooter owners out there, or any aware of how the hell you get these things up to 60 k's an hour and overtaking Yuri driving in the morning? Love to hear from you. 8223 0000. Andrew says the worst part, I reckon the insurance company won't cover you if you leave your keys in the ignition and your engine running. Well, that'd be a sign of the times too, wouldn't it? And the canary in the coal mine is always the insurance company's approach to these sorts of issues. But if you're a driver, we'd love to hear from you this morning. Be interesting to get your insights into what seems to be a spate of issues targeting people in your profession. We're going to take a quick break. We're off to Hahndorf in a moment. The Mustard Seed restaurant, beloved restaurant, outpouring of emotion online about this poor entity that looks to have burned to the ground. We're live to the scene next.
MotoGP is coming to Adelaide in 2027. But South Australia's bike racing moment starts now. ASBK Round 3 hits the Bend, May 1 to 3. Free GA Friday and epic superbike racing all weekend. Get your fix now at thebend.com.au.
Not every conversation stays with you. This one will. Join Stephen Bartlett as he asks the questions and nothing is left unsaid. Search The Diary of a CEO wherever you get your podcasts.
Some things can wait. Tidying the shed, washing the windows, fixing that dripping tap. But your pool? Ignore your pool heading into winter and you'll be paying for it come summer. The Pool Supermarket at O'Halloran Hill will help get your pool ready for winter. Call in now and pick up a Winterizer liquid pack. Mention you're a 5AA listener and you'll pay just $50, normally $111. Put your pool to sleep the right way and save at the Pool Supermarket, South Road, O'Halloran Hill. poolsupermarket.com.au.
Here at 5AA, we're all about supporting local. Never miss a beat this Heart Week and book a heart health check with your GP today. Brought to you by the Heart Foundation.
Now, everyone with a dog knows the look, those adorable puppy eyes that get exactly what they want. Well, right now, Guide Dogs in Training are using theirs to ask you to donate to Guide Dogs Day. Apart from being irresistible, Guide Dogs use their eyes to make a life-changing impact for people with low vision or blindness, something that your donation makes possible. In fact, we're going to be chatting with the Guide Dogs people after 8 o'clock today. Looking forward to that. We may have a couple of doggies in the studio. Right now, every donation will be doubled by Specsavers, so your money goes even further. And there are other ways to get involved too. You can fundraise your way. You can grab Guide Dogs Day pins, tote bags, dog bandanas, even puppy eyes sleep masks available at Adelaide Airport and online. So, to support Australia's hardest working puppy eyes, donate or get involved at guidedogsday.com.au.
Do you know someone living with a lung disease? Here's your chance to help them. CMAX is seeking healthy volunteers aged 18 to 60 to join a clinical trial testing a potential treatment for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Your participation could bring hope to over 400,000 Australians living with this lung condition. If eligible, you'll spend 7 nights at CMAX, attend 2 follow-up visits and get paid for your time. Ready to make an impact? Apply at cmax.com.au.
C-Max. Comparing Lawn Hub's Lawn Care Essentials Pack to the stuff you buy at your local hardware store is like comparing barista-made coffee to instant coffee. One is superior. With Lawn Hub's Lawn Care Essentials Pack, you'll get 5 pro-grade lawn treatments, the same sort used on stunning golf greens. And with an easy-to-understand application calendar, Lawn Hub will help you transform your lawn from zero to hero in 4 easy steps. No guesswork, just results. Order direct online from lawnhub.com.au. I grow mine with Lawn Hub.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Knock down, build 2 with Metro Homes. Move into one and keep the other as an investment. Metro Homes, they do it all for you.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
23 minutes after 6, David is off on this Wednesday morning. If he were here, I suspect he'd be lamenting the loss of a very popular restaurant in the Adelaide Hills, the Mustard Seed restaurant at Harndorf, beloved by its patrons and beloved, I imagine, by people that like architecture of a certain era, because it's one of those beautiful little old buildings that you'd see. That's why you go to Harndorf, to go to these sorts of buildings and see these sorts of places. Well, in very sad news, it has been engulfed in fire overnight. Bianca Wiley from the Today Show is live at the scene. Bianca, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning to you, Will.
It sounds like there's not much left, Bianca. Is that right?
Yeah, it's been pretty much gutted, you could say. Well, it took around 70 firefighters to get this massive blaze under control. But luckily, the restaurant was actually closed at the time, so no one was actually inside. And the damage is estimated of upwards of $2 million. So that just gives you a bit of an estimate as to how damaged this restaurant truly is. There's some video circulating on social media as well at the moment, and you can see in that just how massive this fire was. So much smoke, orange flame, but luckily the firefighters were able to actually contain the blaze so it didn't spread to any of those nearby businesses because, you know, this is such a busy area. So if that had happened, it would be even more devastating. But it's my understanding that fire investigators will attend the scene a little bit later this morning, Will, because at this stage it's still unknown what caused the fire.
Are there people around, Bianca? I just note online, so the social media reaction to this has been massive. Obviously, it's a really well-loved and a well-frequented place in Harndorf. At this hour of the morning, are people gathering around to have a look, or is it pretty abandoned?
Only seen a few people walking past. One lady was on a tour. She said that they saw just the tail end of it when they came back from dinner, didn't know too much. Another resident who lived a bit further away actually had no idea, but as you said on social media, there's been a lot of support for the restaurant. A lot of people have been obviously very upset and, shocked by what happened.
What about the nearby businesses? They're all pretty packed together there in Harndorf. They're all okay?
Yeah, there's luckily no damage to any of the other businesses because, as you said, they all pretty close and, it could have very easily spread. Goodness, if it was in summer, I think it'd be a very different story.
Yeah, it's a great point. Bianca, thank you. Bianca Wiley for Nine's Today Show live at Harndorf this morning. Lauren from the House restaurant that you might be familiar with in Harndorf that's nearby spoke with Leith Forrest last night. Here's what Lauren had to say.
So I think there's still a few fire trucks out there. I think about 8. I'm not sure exactly. But as far as I saw quite a raging fire down the road from where we were. It looked pretty bad, but as far as I'm aware, I don't believe anyone was in.
Yeah, it's well worth tuning into the Facebook and YouTube live stream this morning. It is massive. The fire, when we say engulfed, it's not being creative with language. It is a scary, large fire. $2 million damage, as your banker said, tells you everything you need to know. Hopefully the business owners there will be able to rebuild. I was chatting with someone who runs a small business the other day, and I just admire the courage of people who go out and do it. You put everything on the line, and we don't know what the cause of this one was, obviously. But gee whiz, it's you're watching your life go up in flames. It's just a tragic story. 12.1 degrees outside in the city at the moment, heading for a top today of 28. You click on the forecast at the moment and you feel like the Bureau's new website has directed you to the wrong capital city or indeed the wrong continent or the wrong hemisphere. 28 today, 28 tomorrow, 29 on Friday for the showdown. Ben Jordan will join us shortly to talk about the historic nature of that max temperature. It's going to be one of the warmest showdowns we've ever had. Then it's going to be a really wet weekend, which is terrific too. Garden needs it. 25 on Saturday, 4 to 10 millimetres of rain. Sunday, 1 to 10 millimetres, 1 to 8 on Monday, which feels like we won't get all of that, but the Bureau is not exactly sure when the bulk of that rain's coming, maybe even some on Tuesday. But then Monday, Tuesday, tops of 18 and 19, it will start to feel like it is a traditional sort of an April period. Scott on the text line, 0480 081395, says Charles was very impressive with his speech. We're going to go through it after 7 o'clock this morning, Charles' speech to Congress, and I agree with Scott. I thought it was terrific, a real statesman-like speech. It's very hard these days with the nature of political discourse, especially in America, to say, I disagree with you on this thing and not have everyone hate you. And I think that's what he achieved last night. It was a very deft bit of diplomacy from the King. Tom Renner's in the 5AA Breakfast studio as we turn our attention to sport. For security, safety and style made to order, choose Gliderol Garage Doors, gliderol.com.au. Morning, Rennie.
Morning, Will. You're doing a great job going solo this morning. Never easy, but you're absolutely flying. Last night, I watched training pretty closely, and Darcy Fogarty, I've got to say, looked pretty good. I watched him. I don't know if he'll play, but he was really having a go late in the session. They put him through some serious paces. Do you play him coming back from round 3? It's a risk. I'd bring him straight back in personally.
Well, they lacked options. Tall forwards on the weekend. I mean, Nick Murray went back forward in the second half in an act of pure desperation. How many can you have that is not match fit though, Rennie?
That's it.
Fogarty, Curtin, Saligo.
Yeah, that's right. That's the issue for Matthew Nicks and the coaching staff.
Did the power go out last night at training?
Did the power? It may have. Not that I
think
noticed.
they had some issues with the lights at the Crows training last night, which, in fact, I'd love our listeners to interpret for us. If the gods are sending us a message about the showdown, is the lights going out at Crows training a good omen or a bad omen?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, it was, look, Saligo got through. He'll play. I think there's no doubt about that, Will. You mentioned him. Dan Curtin's the other one. He looked pretty good out there. So, look, it's how many changes you're right do they want to make? Is it dangerous to make, more than 3 or 4? Hence the Darcy Fogarty question. So that's going to be the issue for them. I think Port will bring back Todd Marshall. He was crook last week. Yes, they won the game and they did well without him, but his kicking the week before was so elite against Hawthorn. So it's a big issue there. Both coaches have got some decisions to make. Teams will come out tomorrow night. What do you make of Scott Pendlebury requesting the gold on the back of the jersey? Don't know if I'm a massive fan.
I wish I didn't know that story about Scott Pendlebury because I really like Scott Pendlebury. He's one of my favourite forwards in my life to ever have watched. He's just awesome.
So maybe we just give him a pass.
I'm going to pretend I didn't hear about that story.
Yeah. But a gold jersey, I'm a bit like, okay.
It feels like the kind of thing LeBron James would request.
Yeah, and look, He's had an incredible career.
He's a big basketball guy, actually, Scott Pendlebury.
So maybe there's a bit of that there.
But it doesn't feel like an Australian sporting...
It doesn't, does it? No, it's a bizarre one. And just as I let you go, I cut up the goals, but it was a bit too long. If you need a minute and a half, I've got it. Of the 9 goals this morning in the PSG Bayern Munich Champions League game.
9.
One of the best football games I think I've seen. Champions League semi-final, first leg. Now, it was the 93rd minute when I came in. PSG leading. They were 1-0 down. Then they were 2-1 up PSG. Then it was 2-2. Then Paris Saint-Germain went 5-2 up. And then Bayern have pulled 2 back, 5-4. Incredible game of football.
Is it in Paris or Munich?
It's in Paris. So second leg next week will be back in Munich. So 5-4, effectively it's only half time because they've got to play again next week. But one of the all-time games, I'm just getting a 5-4 is the final score. So advantage PSG, but they play in Germany next week. So they'll have the, I guess, advantage of playing back at home. Amazing game.
Oh, well, looking forward to the second leg.
Yeah, exactly.
Good on you, Rennie.
Thanks, Will.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Mostly sunny today. We're heading for a top of 28 degrees with the 6:30 news. Good morning. I'm Kate Collins.
Had a collision? Get in touch with FIVEAA Panel Services and have your car returned to its former beauty.
A restaurant known for its generosity in serving the community has been destroyed by fire. Flames were seen bursting from the windows of the Mustard Seed restaurant in the main street of Harndorf around 8:30 last night. Bianca Wiley from 9 News has told Will Goodings there's nothing left.
Been pretty much gutted, you could say. Well, it took around 70 firefighters to get this massive blaze under control. But luckily, the restaurant was actually closed at the time, so no one was actually inside. And the damage is estimated of upwards of $2 million. So that just gives you a bit of an estimate as to how damaged this restaurant truly is.
A groundbreaking AI system has detected almost 90 unplanned fires since it was rolled out across SA 2 years ago, helping firefighters coordinate earlier bushfire responses. The system of 8 AI-powered cameras worth $2.35 million delivers real-time fire detection alerts, helping firefighters coordinate earlier responses. The system also helps identify a fire's location, severity and proximity to people, infrastructure and firefighting assets. The fire danger season officially ends tomorrow in SA, but authorities are warning South Australians to remain vigilant. The Prime Minister says he will slash red tape by creating a simpler approvals process for major mining and energy projects. Under the changes, developers will no longer need separate environmental permits from both state and federal governments. Anthony Albanese claims the changes will slash approval times and stop investors abandoning important projects. King Charles has spoken of the importance of upholding democracy and to protect all people from harm in an address to US Congress. He's highlighted the importance of the alliance between the nations in times of great uncertainty, referencing wars in Europe and the Middle East, saying the nations have been interlinked over the 250 years of the American independence.
No taxation without representation was at once a fundamental disagreement between us, and at the same time a shared democratic value which you inherited from us. Ours is a partnership born out of dispute, but no less strong for it.
Data shows nearly 500,000 people are seeking permanent residency in Australia. Gabrielle Hodson reports.
The Financial Review says the Department of Home Affairs is swamped with 59,000 skilled workers in the backlog, sponsored by an Australian-based employer. That's around 40,000 more than the same figure before the pandemic. The Business Council of Australia says it's a massive problem, leaving individuals, families and bosses in limbo, causing workforce shortages and starving the nation of overseas talent. Ahead of the May 12 federal budget, they're pushing for the Albanese government to increase the number of permanent visas issued to skilled workers.
And the British government is following in Australia's footsteps and introducing restrictions for under-16s using social media. Following an 18-month debate to introduce a ban, the UK Labor government says it will impose some form of age restrictions for children under 16. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
For security, safety and style made to order, choose Gliderol Garage Doors. Gliderol.com.au.
Good morning, Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Kate. Plenty of decisions to make for the Crows coach Matthew Nicks after last night's main training session. He has Dan Curtin, Jake Saligo, Darcy Fogarty and Alex Neil-Bullen all pushing for selection for Friday night's showdown match against Port Adelaide. The Power expected to bring back defender Todd Marshall for that game. Still on football, Stan executive and Melbourne board member Dan Taylor is expected to be announced as the next Demons chief executive. Paul Guerra was sensationally sacked yesterday, only 7 months into the job. Guerra, who spoke briefly last night, says he's engaging lawyers.
I'm puzzled by the decision made by the board today. I'm really proud of the team that we've put together in a really short period of time, and I'm really proud of the role that I've played in the success of the club.
Let's go to soccer, and in the European Champions League, Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich have played out an all-time classic, with the first leg of their semi-final tie producing a stunning 9 goals. PSG trailed early but fought back to lead 5-2 before Bayern Munich scored twice late to make it 5-4.
Kane looking for Luis Diaz. What a ball! Brilliant control! Luis Diaz! Oh, incredible!
Yeah, it was an amazing match. Audio thanks to Stan Sport. Now, the return leg of that tie will be played in Germany next week as the two sides fight to play in the final. Arsenal will take on Atletico Madrid in the other semi-final tomorrow. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thanks, Tommy. Now to the 5AA forecast. Mostly sunny today. We're heading for a top of 28 degrees. Warm and 28 again tomorrow, partly cloudy. Mostly sunny, up to 29 degrees on Friday before a showery change on Saturday with a top of 25 and dropping down to just 18 degrees in showers for Sunday. Right now, it's 12 degrees on 5AA, always Adelaide.
Make the switch to Kia's award-winning EV range. Experience up to 612 kilometres of range in the all-electric EV4 sedan. Relax in the premium massage seat of the all-electric EV5 family SUV. Or test drive the reigning Motoring Car of the Year EV3 SUV. Now from $46,990 drive away. Visit your local Kia dealership today.
Kia. Movement that inspires. Adelaide, this is the one. Sportsbet Goodwood Day, the grand final of South Australian racing. A day where Morfettville comes alive, both on and off the track. From Club Largo to the CC Giddy Up Club, the day moves from trackside to party. So, lock it in, get your mates together and don't miss it. World-class racing, trackside energy. A day you don't want to hear about secondhand. General admission, just $30. Sportsbet Goodwood Day, Saturday, May 9. Be there. Gamble responsibly.
You can rent a little, you can rent a lot.
You can rely on Red Spot to keep Aussie airport rentals fair. We're the only car rental company who have kept our prices low during the fuel crisis. And we're the only Aussie-owned and operated choice in major airport terminals all over the country. Experience the local service that saw us named Product Review's 2026 Car Hire Service of the Year. For a deal you can rely on, book your next rental direct at redspot.com.au today or call 1300 66 8810.
Red Sponge.
Stop buying those 2-in-1 spray-on products from the hardware shop. Real lawn enthusiasts treat their lawn with a multi-step program, not whatever's on the shelf. Lawn Hub's Amateur Pack is pro-grade lawn care in home-friendly sizes. 5 products with an easy-to-follow application calendar, specifically designed to push your lawn through autumn, survive winter, and come into spring looking amazing. Take your lawn from zero to hero with 1 pack delivered to your door. Plus, order this month and you're in the draw to win a $3,000 BP fuel voucher. Lawnhub.com.au. I grow mine with Lawn Hub.
Knock down, build 2 with Metro Homes. Move into one and keep the other as an investment. Metro Homes, they do it all for you.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
22 to 7, David's off this morning. Police and weather coming up this half hour. Also, we'll talk about flying ants. Are they arriving at your place in great number, at your suburb, at your local sporting field? This is going berserk on social media at the moment. Lots of people complaining about a flying ant plague. Plague might be doing it a little bit too strong a description, but we'll ask the Adelaide University's insect expert, Professor Craig Williams, about this before 7 o'clock today. And we're going to talk oil pricing in a moment as well. Spent the first half hour talking about the safety of our professional drivers, courier drivers, passenger vehicle drivers. And in the midst of that conversation, Paul sent through an interesting text. And I confess, Paul, I'm extremely ignorant to this, given I've grown up my entire life in South Australia. Paul says SA is the only state that exempts us from Australian Road Rule 213, which requires you to have windows up and doors locked if you're further than 3 metres away from your vehicle. I had no idea that was a rule in other parts of Australia. Thank you for that, Paul. Let's go to Prospect. Frank is a van driver. Morning to you, Frank.
Yeah, good morning, Dave. Will, sorry.
You're right.
And I'm a van driver, and I drive for around 8 to 12 hours every day.
Yep.
So our management always tells us, look, if they want the van, give them the keys, let them drive away, because we've got GPS on all our vans. Now, they go, the van can be replaced, don't worry about it. The stock in the back can be replaced, don't worry about it. But, and this is what they really tell us, but you cannot be replaced. So just walk away, give them the keys, and let them do whatever.
It's a great philosophy. They're obviously a good company, Frank. Have you ever found yourself in a situation that was a bit uncomfortable when you're out driving?
No, probably because my head nearly hits the roof and I'm a pretty tall person.
Yeah.
So, that intimidates quite a few people.
Yeah. Did you see the vision yesterday of the guy trying, different to your company's policy where they say, listen, just let him have it. He tried to fight the bloke behind the wheel and crashed into a tree?
Yeah, because we've been told, you don't know what will happen. If they've got a weapon coming out, straight away, you're gone, or they might be on drugs. They've got that adrenaline rush and they could just overpower you quickly and you're in hospital. So they tell us over and over, do not fight them, do not hassle them, just give them the keys and walk away,
Yeah, that's great insight, Frank, mate. Really appreciate you calling in and giving us a bit of a sense of what it's like out there driving and what the companies are telling you guys about these sorts of incidents. If we're noticing them, obviously the people that run the businesses are noticing as well. 8223 0000 is the number. 2 such attempted carjackings took place yesterday, or at least we covered on the program yesterday, hence the conversation today. School's back all this week. You might have noticed it, speaking of being out on the road. It's busy. That would mean, I'm guessing, there's a huge cohort of 5AA breakfast listeners who are either parents who've got kids going back to school or have now gone back to their usual routine work-wise and are employing a army of 5AA listeners to be the grandparents that are doing the babysitting. Where would our economy, where would our country be at the moment without grandparents doing yeoman's work, doing babysitting? I want to call on your expertise and interests, especially grandparents, maybe parents as well if you're listening. Grandparents have seen 2 generations of kids. So I've got a bit of an odd one for you this morning. Have your children or grandchildren ever been into anything that would be, unusual interests, unusual obsessions? So I don't mean cars and trucks and, fire trucks or Princess Fair, or like my daughter loves, Frozen or so. I don't mean things like that. I'll give you a different example. We had a stand-up fight, my 3.5-year-old and I, a couple of days ago, because she wanted to watch Bluey. Well, it's just fine. I love Bluey. I think Bluey's brilliant. One of the best Australian-made bits of entertainment in the history of this fine country. Except she didn't want to watch the normal Bluey. I put it on and she said no, and I thought, oh, here we go. We're going to be getting prescriptive about what episode she wants to watch. So I put on a different one. She's screaming no. She starts telling me, I want the one with the hands. I'm like, what the hell's the one with the hands? I don't know. Is there a hands episode? I'm Googling, I'm looking through. There's no hands episode. And then with the way in which the ABC's iView works, you can see what are the most recently watched programs. It turns out she has suddenly become obsessed with the Auslan version of Bluey, which is sign language. And the way the ABC does this is 75% of the screen is Auslan, and there's a tiny little bit of Bluey up in the corner. So she thinks she's watched all the episodes so many times. Presumably this is a great new series. I'm not sure. Anyway, the upshot is she can now sign language her way through the start of every Bluey episode. What strange, odd, or different things have your children or grandchildren been into? Love to hear some stories. Or is it just mine that's taken a curious little detour? She's picking up a terrific skill. Oh, fantastic. Bilingual. I might get her doing it in, French or something or other down the track if this works. But I'd love to hear some stories. Grandparents and parents, What odd little things have your kids been into when they were at a young age, or did they develop little obsessions over? Love to hear how it carried on in life or didn't. 8223 or text us on 0480 1395. In the meantime, let's talk about the weather. Ursula Connor at the Weather Bureau joins us. Ursula, good morning.
Hey, Will.
I keep looking every day, and part of me keeps half expecting we're going to see a 30 as a forecast max one day this week, Ursula, but it doesn't look like we're going to quite get there.
Not quite in Adelaide by the looks of things, but I mean 29 on Fridays are getting up there, isn't it? It's especially seeing though it's going to be May on Friday, so our, average for this time of year, in quotation marks, takes a dip of a couple of degrees. So, certainly seeing some very warm temperatures still, even though not quite reaching 30. We've got Adelaide today headed for 28, Glenelg 27, Elizabeth 29, Noarlunga 27, and Mount Barker 27 degrees today, Will.
Good stuff, Ursula. What about the showdown forecast? How's that looking this morning?
It looks pretty good. Maybe just dry, fairly warm, probably in the low 20s still for the game. Not too bad at all. Dry conditions, not expecting any rain. Should be perfect.
Good on you, Ursula. Thank you for that. Let's head to SAPOL. Senior Constable Matt Hale joins us on the line. Matt, a drug driver has crashed at Glandore.
Yes, good morning. Well, this happened at about 8:30 last night. Police responded to reports of a Nissan utility driving erratically on the Anzac Highway. Now, apparently the same car had crashed into multiple cars in the area, including a Ford Ute, also on the Anzac Highway, but this time in Plympton. Police quickly found the Nissan and stopped the driver, a 28-year-old man from Modbury North, and allegedly he tested positive for methamphetamine and cocaine. Luckily, there were no reports of any injuries to anybody else involved. Now, our investigations into the collision are ongoing, so if you witness a car being driven erratically, a Nissan Ute, in that area around Anzac Highway, or witness any of the crashes, please get in touch with Crime Stoppers, 1-800-333-000.
Also, Matt, there's been a fire at the Mustard Seed restaurant in Harndorf. We spoke a little bit about it earlier. Sounds like it was a pretty serious one.
Yes, also around the same time, 8:30 last night, police and fire crews responded to reports of that fire coming from the windows of a restaurant in Harndorf. The Mount Barker Road restaurant had been fully engulfed by the police as they arrived. Mount Barker Road was initially closed between Pine Avenue and Oricht Road while fire crews fought the blaze and brought it under control. Thankfully, the restaurant was closed at this time, but it was completely destroyed by the fire. Fire caused investigators and Hills Ferry detectives attended the scene, and investigations are continuing. We would really like to speak to anyone who saw any suspicious activity in the area or who may have CCTV or dash cam footage. If you can help, please get in touch again through Crime Stoppers, 1-800-333-000. Remember, there's no need to give your name. You can remain anonymous.
And Matt, there was also a street robbery at Dudley Park. What happened there?
Yeah, so two young men were walking along Plym Street in Dudley Park late last night. It was around 11:30 when they were approached by a group of males near to the Exeter Terrace intersection with Plym Street. Now, those men were threatened at knife point, with the suspect demanding their phones, personal jewellery and a backpack. The suspect males were Caucasian in appearance. They were in their late teens or early 20s, and they ran off along Plym Street towards Harrison Road. They were wearing dark clothing and had their faces covered. Police extensively searched the area and with the assistance of police dog Webster. However, none of the suspects were located. The victims were not injured physically during the robbery, but you can imagine how shook up they'd be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so can you help the investigation? That's what we're asking people. Can you help? CCTV, dashcam footage, anything like that? Or even if you personally know information about the suspects, get in touch with Crime Stoppers, 1-800-333-000.
All right, thank you for that, Matt. We appreciate it. Senior Constable Matt Hale there from SAPOL, getting some people with some nominations for odd things or oddly specific things their children, grandchildren, or they themselves as small kids were obsessed with this morning. Tim from Lobethal says, my 4-year-old boy's finally done with Bluey. Now he's absolutely obsessed with the Ninja Turtles. He says, life's good, stay strong, Will, it gets better. I don't mind it so much, Tim, I just find Auslan Bluey wasn't something that I was expecting to be having on my TV all day. Amelia Mulcahy, my former Channel 7 colleague, texted say her daughter would ask for Mandarin Bluey. I'm not even familiar with that one. Maybe it's coming. She's such a wonderful selection on the ABC app. And Also got reminded by my father, who's obviously coming in after 9 o'clock today, about the very odd story of my little sister, who, for her whole life, would sing a song from play school. I totally forgot about this story. She'd sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, but would always get to one point of the song, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and go, because back in the day, it wasn't streaming, obviously. It was a taped version of a play school episode during which the presenter coughed during the song, so she grew up her entire life. Well, presumably now in her 30s, she's well aware of how Twinkle Twinkle goes, but she sang every school thing with the cough, thinking that was actually part of the song. Weird little obsessions and things kids are into, folks. Love to hear your nominations or memories as a parent, or maybe you see it now as a grandparent, or maybe your parents have told you about something you were crazy about when you were a kid. 8223 0000, text us on 0448 08 13 95. We're going to check traffic and come back with more in just a moment.
Morning there, Regency Park, an early morning crash to look out for today. It's on the North-South Motorway overpass near Days Road, seeing a few delays through there. Woodville, Boomgates down, Port Road near Cheltenham Parade, starting to get busy. South Road through Mile End, and it is slowing up on the freeway at Crayford for the road and barrier damage from that truck crash the other week. Early morning camera to look out for Duthie Street, Malvern. Get to the Ford Ranger Bi-Turbo run out and get a 4K fuel card with select Bi-Turbo models at participating Ford dealers. See Ford.com.au for details. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Clay Sampson, Fleury Milk Company. I look after the sales and marketing. We've been with 5AA now for just over 10 years. I sat down with Jimmy, explained our business and who we were and what we were trying to advertise and what message we were trying to get across. And that's probably been the beauty of working with James, is just him knowing exactly what we need and what we want and the target audience that we're after.
To get your message out there and grow your business, visit 5AA.com.au and hit the Advertise With Us link.
Think you know Cinderella? State Opera South Australia is bringing a fresh, fast-paced, laugh-out-loud retelling to Her Majesty's Theatre this May. From rags to royalty, follow one woman's journey as she discovers resilience, love and courage. Playing for 4 nights only from May 7 to 16. Don't miss an enchanting night out packed with charm, chaos and dazzling music. Book your tickets now at stateopera.com.au.
Your lawn is about to face its toughest months of the year. Are you prepared? Lawn Hub's Amateur Pack has everything you need to get your lawn through winter and out the other side looking lush and green. But you need to start now. Pre-emergent weed control, cold weather fertiliser, wetting agent and more. All in home-friendly sizes with a step-by-step application calendar. Plus, order this month and you're in the draw to win a $3,000 BP fuel voucher. Lawnhub.com.au. I grow mine with Lawn Hub.
Knock down, build 2 with Metro Homes. Move into one and keep the other as an investment. Metro Homes, they do it all for you.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
嘿，乖宝贝，今天上学怎么样？
很好。
这就对了。哦，天哪，我的膝盖！
我们是直接回家吗？
哦不，我们先去一下药房。
药房？
That's Bluey in Mandarin that Amelia Mulcahy's daughter is obsessed with. Mine loves the Auslan version of Bluey. We're asking you this morning about strange things that your children or grandchildren or you yourself, your parents may have told you about, were into when you were little. 8223 0000 is the number. We've been asking about flying ants as well. A lot of reports about flying ant issues out in the suburbs. Some really dramatic pictures of sporting grounds and the lights they have at the community sporting ovals, just looking like there's some sort of plague going on. There is a near plague going on in parts of the country at the moment, and our texter, Peter in the Barossa, has mentioned it. He says, not sure about flying ants, but there are quite a few locusts between Yunta and Broken Hill. Could be something to watch with after all the outback rain. Peter, and I'm guessing Peter well knows this, the authorities are watching that. It hasn't, I'm not sure what the demarcation point at which something becomes officially becomes sort of plague proportions, but they're saying it's not there yet, but it is something that is being watched at the moment. And Ben sent in a text. This is a terrific sporting-related text. He says, bit of niche sporting info this morning. The first pick in the 2024 MLB draft, so the Major League Baseball in the United States, Aussie Travis Bazzana is officially in the starting lineup. We'll be making his Major League debut for the Cleveland Guardians this morning, batting 7th, playing second base. Huge moment for Australian baseball. Absolutely, Ben. Appreciate you sending that in terrific moment for Australian sport. Speaking of sport, let's talk about the showdown Friday night. The forecast is hot, which starts putting it in some pretty rare air. Ben Jordan is our 5AA stats man and joins us now. Ben, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. How are you?
I'm terrific, Ben. Will it be the hottest?
Not quite, actually. So 29 is going to be 0.1 degree shy of the hottest showdown, which was showdown number 42 in 2017.
What was the date of that one?
It was early April. So, but a year that we'd probably rather forget for some of us, 2017. I do recall that Dave from Alberton back in October said that the road trip was the highlight of your decade on the air, but a few of us might disagree with it.
Yeah, no, we don't agree with it. Dave might. In fact, I'd wipe 2017 from my memory. So we need, if it gets 0.1 above the forecast max, it'll be the hottest showdown ever.
It would. That was the 8th of April. It was a night game, though, similar to Friday night. So if you really want to get technical about it, you'd almost have to go back to 2001 because that was a day game. Because I know the Bureau before said that it's going to be about 24 degrees when the game starts. So 2001, it was 27 degrees while the game was being played. So that's, I'm getting rather technical there. That might be the hottest while they're actually out in the field.
Yeah, okay. No, that makes sense. Makes sense for people trying to work out what they're going to wear to the game. Any other statistical oddities about the showdown or the weather this week that caught your eye, Ben?
Oh, look, I guess the average temperature across the showdowns is 19 degrees. It obviously splits pretty much down the middle, 22 for the April sort of May games and 16 for the second half. But bringing up a better showdown, 16 degrees was the temperature of that greater showdown of the final win in September 2005. A much better memory than 2017.
Yeah, it certainly is.
And then, obviously Friday, 29 degrees. So we've only had really 13 days across the last 130 years that you get above 29 in May. So it's a pretty, it's basically once every 10-year event.
It is a rare one. And you got a tip for us, Ben? I know it's not a statistic, mate, but you're a seasoned watcher. You look at the data. I figure you've got Adelaide's biggest spreadsheet.
Look, the heart says Adelaide. The head might be leaning towards the power. I think coming back from Brisbane, hot day up there. Obviously an emotional week with Jared Dawson shooting on the trip down to Robes. So, yeah, I just fear that it's a short break. So perhaps Port, a pretty good win last week against Geelong, might just get the job done.
No, good on you, Ben. Good to chat, mate. Appreciate it. So it's in play. Hottest showdown ever. Ben Jordan, our resident 5AA stats man. A couple of texts. Angela says, try watching the Lazy Song video backwards 100 times. I'm not familiar with any of that, but it doesn't sound fun. Angela says, my 4-year-old, for some reason, likes the backward version of a variety of songs. Maybe he can hear something I can't. What's the famous one? There's a famous version of that from a 60s hit that if you play backwards, people used to say it had a hidden meaning. Was it a Beatles song? Saying Paul is dead. Emily knows, she's a Beatles nut. A Beatles song saying Paul is dead. Maybe that's what he's across, Angela. I like that. Thanks for the text. And Luke says, as a kid, I was obsessed with trains, and I still am. Good on you, Luke. Well, I'll be interested to see which childhood obsessions endure. 8223 strange things your kids, grandkids, or you yourself were into when you were a child. Let's talk about flying ants. A lot of report of people, suburbs being inundated with flying ants. We've had people from the country saying locusts are everywhere. So it's time to check in with the best bug expert in South Australia, Adelaide University's insect expert, Professor Craig Williams. Professor Williams, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Well, let's start with the locust element of this is pretty scientifically well documented at the moment. The flying ant component of this is entirely anecdotal. Would the climatic conditions or anything gel with an increased number of flying ants at the moment, Professor Williams?
Yeah, look, you raise a good point in the intro in that actually there's different sorts of insects in abundance in different places at this time of year. So first of all, it's really common this time of year to have a lot of insects on the wing and going through their last flurry before winter. The flying ants, look, again, I'm working sort of from a bit of anecdotal evidence, but I believe these are termites that they have a flight stage for dispersal, and this represents probably the last opportunity for the year for them to, get into new habitat. And so I think you've got termites there, locusts, as you mentioned, but there are a lot of other sorts of insects on the wing.
Will that change as we get into, proper winter, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll just get too cool. And I mean, there are insects active through the winter, and quite a number of surprising ones. You can get mosquitoes active all winter, and particularly down the southeast, which is pretty weird. But look, in general, insects sort of go to bed, around this time of year. It's probably a bit later and a bigger insect event now because of, you mentioning, the warmer temperatures. This is a bit of an unusual end to May or middle of May. So, but look, they will tuck themselves in mostly for the winter and exist as either eggs or, in some cases, little larvae secreting themselves away in the environment.
And just very quickly, Craig, before we let you go, how concerned are you about the locust population in regional Australia at the moment?
Oh, look, it's an enduring problem, isn't it, for anyone in agriculture trying to grow food and fibre. Look, there are some pretty sharp minds on this, but we're all at the whim of changing climate, Will. So, look, I think there's always that concern in the back of the mind.
Professor Williams, really appreciate your time. Professor Craig Williams, Adelaide University insect expert, our guest. We're going to take a break. 5AA News is coming up. We're off to the Washington on the other side of it to have a closer look and listen to the King's speech to Congress.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
The news and information that matters. This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Mostly sunny today. We're heading for a top of 28 degrees with the 7 o'clock news. Good morning. I'm Kate Collins.
Need a crash repairer you can trust? FIVEAA Panel Services delivers expert care to you and your vehicle.
A restaurant known for its generosity and serving the Hills community has been destroyed by fire. Flames were seen bursting from the windows of the Mustard Seed restaurant on the main street of Harndorf around 8:30 last night. Lauren from the House restaurant says dozens of firefighters battled the blaze.
I don't think it's spread as far as we could see and what we've heard so far, but it's hard to tell. We don't want to get too close.
Damage is estimated around $2 million. Fire investigators are working to determine the cause. A man has been reported for drug driving through the southern suburbs overnight. Police responded to reports of a Nissan Utility driving erratically on Anzac Highway at Glandore. Police received further calls involving the same Nissan crashing into multiple cars in the area on Anzac Highway. Police were quick to locate the Nissan and the driver, a 28-year-old man from Modbury North. He tested positive to methamphetamine and cocaine and was reported for drug driving. A groundbreaking AI camera system has detected almost 90 unplanned fires since it was rolled out across SA 2 years ago. The system of 8 AI-powered cameras worth $2.35 million delivers real-time fire detection alerts. Minister for Forest Industries Claire Scriven says the system helps identify a fire's location, severity and proximity to people, infrastructure and firefighting assets.
So all of that together means more informed responses from emergency services and from industry and better protection for our communities.
A number of notable fires were detected by the cameras, including the Foxfire near Lucendale in 2025. The fire danger season officially ends tomorrow in SA. The Prime Minister will today announce a plan to speed up environmental approvals for some developments. Nelson Scott reports from Canberra.
Energy and resource projects typically require environmental approvals from both the state and federal governments. Anthony Albanese will today announce a $45 million investment to slash red tape and stop investors abandoning important projects. Under the new plan, state and territory jurisdictions will be encouraged to issue approvals on the Commonwealth's behalf so long as they adhere to federal environmental standards. The Albanese government claims it will create a more efficient process by removing a layer of bureaucracy.
King Charles has hailed the ambitious AUKUS submarine plan between Australia, the US and UK. He highlighted the enduring defence ties between the nations while addressing US Congress, calling for reconciliation and renewal. Former US Ambassador Arthur Sinodinos has told Today the message of unity and collaboration shone through.
This is the second time that the King has said something about AUKUS. He also addressed it in his remarks at Buckingham Palace when he hosted President Trump. So, as you can see, a lot of emphasis by the King on what brings the Americans and the Brits together.
And Jared Dawson, the brother of Crows captain Jordan Dawson, will be farewelled by family and friends today. A celebration of life will be held at the Robe Football Club. The 35-year-old is survived by his wife and baby son. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Gliderol Garage Doors, over 50 years strong. All colours, all styles, all street appeal. Gliderol.com.au.
Good morning, Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Kate. The Crows have trained at Adelaide Oval ahead of Friday night's showdown. They could make several changes with Jake Saligo, Alex Neil-Bullen, Dan Curtin and Darcy Fogarty all pushing their case. The Power could regain Todd Marshall after he was a late out against Geelong because of illness. The match will be a milestone game for Port's Mitch Georgiades.
Pretty cool. Obviously honoured to play 100 games, and it's been a great journey, and hopefully many more to come, and to play in front of a showdown. It's obviously one of the biggest games in the calendar for the year, for the club and for the state, so very excited.
Collingwood will be without Tim Membry for tomorrow night's clash against Hawthorn after straining a hamstring in the win over Essendon. The forward is expected to miss 4 weeks. Let's go to cricket. A major boost for South Australia with confirmation Test opener Jake Weatherald is moving back to play with SA. The 31-year-old has spent the past 3 seasons with Tasmania, but returns in a move that will no doubt strengthen the side's chances of a three-peat at Shield level. Meantime, Ricky Ponting's Punjab Kings have suffered their first loss of the IPL campaign, going down to the Rajasthan Royals by 6 wickets. Marcus Stoinis smashed an unbeaten 62 from only 22 balls for the Kings, but it wasn't enough as the Royals chased down the target of 223 with 4 balls to spare. An incredible game in the European Champions League this morning with Paris Saint-Germain beating Bayern Munich 5-4 in the first leg of their semi-final tie. The return leg will be played in Germany next week. Meantime, Matilda's vice-captain Steph Catley has signed a 2-year contract extension with Arsenal. And Aussie baseballer Travis Bazzana will make his major league debut with Cleveland this morning. The 23-year-old has battled injuries since the Guardians took him with the #1 draft pick in 2024. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thanks so much, Tommy. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Morning there at Albert Park. A nasty crash, West Lakes Boulevard near the railway line. Big delays, ironically, where the boom gates aren't working. That's no good. Regency Park, a crash to look out for. The north-south motorway overpass near Days Road. Getting busy. South Road, Edward Sound starting to slow up. Fullerton Road, the Glen Osmond Road intersection with the camera. Raglan Avenue, Edwardstown. No lock-in contracts, no hidden fees. Join Revo Fitness from just $9.69 per week for 24/7 access to any Revo Fitness club across Australia. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now to the 5AA forecast. Mostly sunny today. We're heading for a top of 28 degrees. Warm and 28 again tomorrow, partly cloudy. Mostly sunny, up to 29 for Friday before a showery change on Saturday, 25 degrees, and dropping down to just 18 with showers on Sunday. Right now it's 12 degrees on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Stay informed, get involved. 5AA, always Adelaide.
Knockdown, build 2 with Metro Homes. Move into one and keep the other as an investment. Metro Homes, they do it all for you.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
7 after 7. Good morning to you if you're joining us for the first time on this Wednesday, the 29th of April. David is off today, but really enjoying the texts and the calls to the program. A few texts on 048008 1395. A farmer from the mid-north didn't put his name on it, but I appreciate the picture and the text. Says, I'm in the paddock, currently soil sampling. Featured in this picture that I've sent are mouse holes. You multiply those by how many mice per square metre and how fast they can reproduce, and it's certainly worth keeping an eye on. We're talking plagues of both insects, flying ants, termites and locusts, and thank you to that farmer. Now we're talking mice on the program this morning as well. Craig Williams from Adelaide University, our guest just before the break. Beck says, you guys were a question in the quiz we won last night at the Lockleys Hotel. What was the frequency of the 5AA breakfast program? Beck, I'm glad you got it right. That's excellent. I confess the first half of your text made me very concerned about what the question was going to be, but delighted you won the quiz at the Lockleys Hotel. 5AA breakfast own quiz champ Beck. And also Jamie on the subject of things as a kid you're obsessed with, and whether that turned into something that affected your life or was just a passing phase, says, as a kid I was into the news, the good old days with Rob Kelvin and Kevin Crease at 9 and Graham Goodings and Jane Doyle. I've heard of him. At 7, it's my passion, and soon I'm looking to start a journalism degree at the age of 45. Well, good on you, Jamie. That's terrific. I love hearing stories of people that took a totally different career path later in life. Maybe more listeners of a story like that. Love to hear yours. 8223 0000. King Charles, well, his career really took off very late in life, taking over from his mother, and overnight he has spoken to the US Congress in what you'd have to say what is one of the more fraught diplomatic environments a British monarch has probably ever had to deal with in addressing Congress in the US. We're going to play some of what he had to say. I think he did an extremely deft diplomatic job from the bits I've heard. Miley Hogan was listening to it all in Washington, D.C. for 7 News. Miley, good morning. What's the reaction to the King's speech been there?
Well, look, as you mentioned, it's a time where the US and UK relationship is certainly strained. So there was all eyes on how this speech was going to go. And the King did a really good job. He really stressed this message of unity right through his address. But he was also funny. He cracked jokes. He had the room laughing. And all of his life, he has been someone who has to get up in front of people and talk and sell this diplomatic message. And he really did a good job in there today. It was received well. He got a lot of standing ovations from the people in Congress. But he spoke a lot about the importance of the UK and the US friendship. He addressed the history, saying that it was born out of dispute, but that they always found a way to come back together. So you really got this kind of optimistic take on where the relationship was going or could go, but he stressed that they do have to be unified in their approach.
So what comes next in the visit?
Well, after this, the royal couple are going to go down to the White House and attend a formal state dinner. And I have to say, President Trump has pulled out all of the stops. He had them at the White House earlier, all the pomp and ceremony. They held a military service and they did a viewing of the troops, which is actually the highest honour that the US can extend to a visiting head of state. Donald Trump is an admirer of the British monarchy, and he has really been very respectful in this visit, and he's been making that very clear that he has a lot of respect for King Charles.
Miley, thank you. Miley Hogan in Washington, D.C. for 7 News. You're going to see a lot of the King's address and indeed his interactions with the US President and indeed members of Congress on 7 News tonight. Miley's story will have all the pictures. Let's have a listen to some of it, though, now. I think this is instructive. And I'd love to hear, maybe people have got differing views. And look, whatever your views about King and formerly Prince Charles have been, and they've been divided, I think he did an exceptional job here considering the backdrop. Let's have a bit of a listen to a little bit of the address.
And on behalf of the Queen and myself, to thank the American people for welcoming us to the United States to mark this semi-quincentennial year of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, let's not forget the Declaration of Independence. It gave the King plenty of fodder to talk about with regard to strained relations today because they were there to mark an event of war that led to the US's independence 250 years ago. He told some jokes.
Which symbolises a period in our shared history, or what Charles Dickens might have called a tale of two Georges.
It wasn't where he left it. He had a whole spate of material.
Now, as you may know, when I address my own Parliament at Westminster, we still follow an age-old tradition and take a member of Parliament hostage, holding him or her at Buckingham Palace until I am safely returned. These days, we look after our guests rather well, to the point that they often do not want to leave. I don't know, Mr. Speaker, if there were any volunteers for that role here today.
So, again, stressing the point, he at times spoke about the importance of a relationship and how it needed to endure. He talked about treating your allies well. He spoke about the environment. He spoke about the kinds of things that typically would get depending on which side of the discussion you're on or what point you're making, half of Congress turning their backs on the Speaker. He got a standing ovation. I reckon that's almost impossible in this day and age. So well played to the King. He has inherited from his mother the ability to tackle difficult subjects and not turn people off them. At the very least, he achieved that today. Love to hear people's thoughts on what they've heard of the King. 0480 1395. He spoke about AUKUS, which is timely, not just because of the US-UK component of it, but because of something that came out of the UK Parliament earlier this week. Here's the King on AUKUS.
We are building F-35s together, and we have agreed the most ambitious submarine program in history, AUKUS. And we are doing it in partnership with Australia, a country of which I'm also immensely proud to serve as sovereign.
So that's talking about AUKUS, which there was some concern about AUKUS in the last 48 hours. The House of Commons, back in the UK now, reporting that the partnership with Australia will stretch the UK's defence industrial capacity, and timely investment in key British shipyards is critical. The report says creating a new submarine yard at Osborne in Adelaide's northwest is on a different scale, and the British Defence Ministry recognised the enormity of the challenge. Now, look, when we talk about the biggest capital work project, we talk about the biggest industrial project in the history of this country, we sometimes diminish our size in the scope of the world. Even the US and the UK are struggling to hold up their ends of the bargain. We know the US needs to build two nuclear subs a year. They're struggling to meet that, to give us the Virginia class down the line. The Brits now, all this report is saying it's going to be really hard for Britain too. It's going to be hard for everyone. It's big. We're trying to do something this is like landing man on the moon. This is going to be a stretch to everyone. The Australian government has responded to those developments out of the UK. Here's the Prime Minister.
AUKUS is, to quote President Trump, full steam ahead, and I'm very confident that it will be so.
And locally, Minister Chris Picton.
I'm not going to get involved in UK domestic politics, obviously, but I think that what we can see from the UK government is a very strong level of commitment. Interesting,
just to note that report came out. The King firmly put it on the agenda in US Congress today. So that is something we will be watching. Some texts. Jackie says, morning, Will. As was my father, King Charles is an educated Englishman, able to tell Trump what he is, diplomatically. Well, I think there was a little bit of that. Bell says if there are no King's protests in the US, the left are laughable. I'm not sure that fits in the context of the celebrating 250 years of independence. But if they want to they want to offshore and internationalise the argument against monarchies, perhaps, Bell. 0480 08 1395 if you'd like to text in your thoughts, or you can call 8223 0000. Really sad local story overnight. The Mustard Seed, a beautiful little restaurant in a spectacular old building in Harndorf, has burnt down. We spoke with Bianca Wiley in the first hour from Nine's Today program.
Been pretty much gutted, you could say. Well, it took around 70 firefighters to get this massive blaze under control. But luckily, the restaurant was actually closed at the time, so no one was actually inside. And the damage is estimated of upwards of $2 million. So that just gives you a bit of an estimate as to how damaged this restaurant truly is.
Yeah, sad story. An outpouring of grief from patrons online saying, "Well, what a shame. We love that place. Hopefully they're able to rebuild. Hopefully the owners are able to do precisely that." No sense yet of what caused the fire. Investigators are heading to the scene this morning. We have a Care Alert smartwatch to give away. The wheel is in the studio, and on debut as Barrel Girl, it's Patrick Goldsmith, our producer, who's filling the role of David this morning, who's off today, to give the wheel a spin. Every number corresponds to a birth year. If it is yours and you're the first caller through, you will win yourself a Care Alert smartwatch. Give it a spin, Paddy. Oh, that's a proper spin. We might have to get you back in. If it's number 19, though, you're fired. No, it's number 7. That's terrific news, because number 7 is 1932. 1932, which means someone who is 94 or turning 94 this year. It was the year that the Sydney Harbour Bridge opened to the public in Australia, 1932. If it was your birth year, you've got a Care Alert smartwatch if you're the first caller through right now on 8223 0055. Let's check traffic.
Morning there. Got a nasty smash to look out for this morning at Albert Park. Few cars involved in this one. West Lakes Boulevard just near the railway line. We're slow at the moment through Crayfords on the freeway, still sorting out the road and barrier damage from that truck crash the other week. Getting busy. Fullerton Road at the Glen Osmond Road intersection always is this time of the day, and slow South Road at Mile End. Camera, Maringi Avenue, Canton Park. Sane Herself people navigate complex mental health for 40 years. If you or someone you care for needs free information, recovery support, or community connection, visit sane.org today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Graham Goodings.
Elizabeth from Mount Barker joins us on the line. We spoke yesterday, Elizabeth. You're having trouble with your power. What's going on?
Yes, we've just got it on now. We were without it all day yesterday and last night.
Graham Goodings.
Oh, that's terrific.
Sam, right. Very nice, Sam. Well done, Sam.
He's a good lad. He's a good lad.
Well done, 5AA.
It's a pleasure, Elizabeth.
Weekday mornings from 9 on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
A test drive should test the car, not your patience. In the city, it's traffic lights, roundabouts and stop-start driving. So take your foot off the brake and open it up a little. Come to Barossa Auto Group and test drive all the big brands. Ford, Volkswagen, Honda and Kia. Available to test drive through the stunning Barossa. We'll even buy you lunch to make a day of it. T's and C's apply. Barossa Auto Group. Tanunda and Noori Utpa. Book a test drive today.
For those whose pool is the main feature of their yard, Walco offer a special mesh cover to keep debris and leaves out while making your pool area look stunning all through winter. Join the great cover-up and ask Walco about their stylish new mesh pool covers. Walco.com.au.
Every bathroom comes with a dark side. Mould. It sneaks into grout. But what if it had nothing to sneak into? What if you chose Mr. Wet Wall instead of tiles for your bathroom and wet areas? It costs less and there's no scrubbing grout. Because with Mr. Wet Wall, there is no grout. Just a smooth, stylish surface, easy to clean and stunning to look at. So why wouldn't you Mr. Wet Wall? MrWetWall.com.
Every day, CommBank is trusted by over 1 million Aussie businesses. We're here to help back your goals and ready to lend a hand.
Order for James.
To find out more, search CommBank Business.
6 minutes from now, a business in Australia will become a victim of cybercrime. If you're not protected, you're next. Sooner or later, it will be you. FXIT is a nationally trusted cybersecurity company for Australian businesses. Your peace of mind starts with a free cybersecurity audit. The clock's ticking. Don't be the easy win for cybercriminals. Book your free security audit now at fx.com.au/protect.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
Knock down, build 2 with Metro Homes. Move into one and keep the other as an investment. Metro Homes, they do it all for you.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
22 minutes after 7. Just got a very intriguing update from the lottery agency with regard to the missing $2 million winning ticket that was sold at Sefton Park News Agency on Anzac Day. $2 million, Division 1 winner, unclaimed to this point, but Paddy looks very excited out there. So we're going to check in with the lot very shortly because we believe there has been a development on that front. They've sold 3 Div 1 winning tickets in 13 years. I don't know what the odds of that are, but that would seem to be quite a remarkable run of luck there at Sefton Park. Maybe Adelaide's luckiest suburb. Who knows? I'll tell you what else is a lucky suburb. It's Hove, because it's where our next guest is living. Aileen from Hove was born in 1932 and therefore Aileen has a magnificent Care Alert smartwatch, this fantastic device by a terrific company. Mike and Darren still do a wonderful job giving peace of mind to South Australian families. Every family should have one of these devices and Aileen's does now. Aileen, good morning and congratulations to you.
Good morning, Will.
Lovely to chat with you, Aileen. So I know enough about politeness not to talk about a lady's age, but you grew growing up in the 40s and 50s. What was it like? Were you in Adelaide at that time of your life?
I certainly was. I'm an Adelaide girl, Norwood girl actually, all my life. And now I'm here at Hove.
So did you went to school in sort of Norwood?
Yes, I went to Norwood, infant, primary and high.
And your parents, what's your family history with South Australia? They always lived here as well?
Well, my father was born here, mother in England. Yes, so grandfather Scottish. He was the one that was on the Nemesis and was lost at sea.
Oh, my goodness.
That was back in the way back. Yes, but they found me. I was the granddaughter of James Lockhead, And I think they were quite excited to find someone still alive. I was 92 then. It was 120 years since the Nemesis went down. But yes, I'm 94 and proud of it.
Wow. So you've seen, I'm guessing you might remember a little bit of the 30s, but 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. Have you got a favourite decade for just what average life was like?
Well, around the 50s and 60s, I thought was terrific.
Yeah.
But I can remember the day that war broke out and my father coming in and saying, well, we're at war. And as a little 7-year-old, I was terrified. But, well...
So you would have been 7 at the outbreak of war, and then war in the Pacific, you would have been 9, 10-ish. So the idea that Australia might come under attack or was coming under attack, you would have been right across it.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
I can remember the drill that we had at the Norwood School and the air raid shelters along the Norwood Parade, and I would be terrified that I wouldn't get from home to the first air raid shelter just in case the alarm went off.
Oh, my goodness.
Because they were always, it was a practice.
What about, do you have any memory of rationing, Aileen?
Absolutely.
What do you remember having to do without?
Well, coming from a fairly large family, we did have, well, there were lots of coupons in those days, and you would trade them. I can remember my mother trading them for other things that you might need, the butter. We were all healthy. We were never hungry. Yes, I was lucky.
Yeah, well, we're lucky to have heard from you this morning, Aileen. We're lovely that you've got the Care Alert smartwatch coming your way. I feel like I could sit here and talk to you for the next 2.5 hours, but you've probably got things to do. So
I would like to talk to you too. I wish it had been the one looking for the lottery raffle.
Yes.
Wouldn't that have been wonderful?
Well, wouldn't that have been something? You didn't buy a ticket in Sefton Plaza?
Oh, well, never mind. I'm really happy to talk to you, Will, and thank you for the watch.
No, lovely to talk to you too, Aileen. Aileen and Hive, born in 1932, the winner of the Care Alert smartwatch. It's fantastic listening to people that have seen so much of the world. All right, let's talk about Aileen. If you're still listening, let's talk about the $2 million ticket, because I think we've got an update on that front. Matt Hart from The Lot is live on the air. Matt, have you got some breaking news for us?
Good morning. Yes, I do. Well, yes, sorry, Aileen, I don't think it's you, but we have actually been in contact with that mystery winner from Sefton Plaza. So they made themselves known yesterday afternoon. Unfortunately, they do want to remain completely anonymous, so I don't have any goss on, where the ticket was, how they discovered the news, or, how they celebrated. But we do know that that prize has now been claimed. So that's another sort of Adelaide winner out there now.
So can I ask you this though, Matt? Did they contact you or did you contact them?
Yeah, so they made contact with us because because they didn't have a registered ticket, we didn't have any sort of clues to their identity. So we were very much waiting for them to just check their ticket, and I hope they check their ticket and make themselves known to us. So and that's actually the 11th Division 1 winner in South Australia so far this year. So we're happy to add to the tally.
We're on quite the run. Okay, so they want to remain. They're concerned that they're revealing the nature of the celebration might reveal who they are. So they're remaining totally anonymous, Matt.
Exactly, but if you see a confetti cannon on the lawn, maybe it was them.
Yeah, that's right. Some loud yelling yesterday afternoon or something or other. Hey, Matt, good on you. That's terrific. We're glad that the winner has received or will receive their winnings, but commiserations to the other 1.7 million South Australians who hope they just got sudden onset amnesia and forgot buying that ticket. So, Matt, thank you. The $2 million has been found. 28 minutes after 7. Rob on the text line asks, do you think the North Adelaide Preservation Society would protest the digging of air raid shelters in the parklands in this day and age? How many trees need to die? Probably, Rob. Thank you. 223 0000 is our number. Coming up after 7:30 this morning, David Kosh is going to join us. A couple of things we want to talk to Koshy about. One, inflation figures come out today. So remember, target band, 2 to 3%. If it's outside that, rates go up or down on the basis of where it's below or outside. Obviously, at the moment, it's been up because inflation was up around 3.7, 3.8% when we last got data. That predated the war. So the expectation is today that number could have a 4 in front of it. 4.7, some are suggesting. 4.8 are some of the predictions as well. That's going to be a massive story today, and that is going to tell us a fair bit about what the RBA does inflation-wise. We'll get Koshy's view on that. The other thing, Port Adelaide have been completely dudded by the AFL's changes to father, sons and academies and how they work. There have been clubs that have gotten high on the hog and won premierships, giving up peanuts for stars of the league. Well, the AFL said it's got to end, and they didn't say it's going to end in 5 years. They said it's ending this year, and guess what? Port's got Dougie Cochran coming in the draft, who's going to be the first or second pick. Carlton have young Walker as well. So this is a huge story. I imagine Koshy's fuming about this. We'll find out just before 8 o'clock.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Mostly sunny today. We're heading for a top of 28 degrees in Adelaide. With the 7:30 news, good morning. I'm Kate Collins.
Had a collision? Get in touch with FIVEAA Panel Services and have your car returned to its former beauty.
A restaurant known for its generosity and serving the community has been destroyed by fire. Flames were seen bursting from the windows of the Mustard Seed on the main street of Hahndorf around 8:30 last night. Bianca Wiley from 9 News has told Will Goodings there's nothing left.
Been pretty much gutted, you could say. Well, it took around 70 firefighters to get this massive blaze under control. But luckily, the restaurant was actually closed at the time, so no one was actually inside. And the damage is estimated of upwards of $2 million. So that just gives you a bit of an estimate as to how damaged this restaurant truly is.
A man has been reported for drug driving through the southern suburbs overnight. Police responded to reports of a Nissan utility driving erratically on Anzac Highway at Glandore. Police received further calls involving the same Nissan crashing into multiple cars in the area on Anzac Highway. Senior Constable Matt Hale says police were quick to locate the driver.
28-year-old man from Modbury North, and allegedly he tested positive for methamphetamine and cocaine. Luckily, there were no reports of any injuries to anybody else involved.
The federal government claims it will lower the regulatory burden for major mining and energy projects. Under the proposal, the states and territories will be able to issue environmental approvals on the Commonwealth's behalf. The Prime Minister says it will speed up the process and stop investors from quitting important projects. The opposition leader is playing down the chances the coalition would back changes to capital gains tax or negative gearing. Reforms are believed to be under consideration as part of the government's May budget, amid calls to do more to help people get into the housing market. Angus Taylor says putting extra tax on houses won't get more properties built.
We haven't seen any proposal. I mean, we get a new thought bubble about this every single day. The government seems to be running around in circles, but it's hard to see how we could support an extra tax on housing when we need more houses in the country.
Analysts are expecting the fuel crisis triggered by the conflict in Iran will take Australia's overall inflation rate towards 5%. The ABS will today release the Consumer Price Index for March, a measure closely watched by the Reserve Bank to understand overall price pressures. The Northern Territory's Chief Minister says it's all hands on deck to find a missing 5-year-old girl. Sharon vanished from a home at Alice Springs with police believing she may have been abducted. Leah Finocchiaro says there's been an outpouring of support from the community, including those who volunteered to help in the search.
We are just so desperately wanting to find Sharon. And, you know, this is, everyone is feeling this in the Northern Territory. It's just, you know, we're going into our 4th day now. It's very distressing, and particularly for the family.
And the British government is following in Australia's footsteps and introducing restrictions for under-16s using social media. Following an 18-month debate to introduce a ban, the UK Labor government says it will impose some form of age restrictions for children under 16. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
For security, safety and style made to order, choose Gliderol Garage Doors. Gliderol.com.au.
Good morning, Rennie.
And a very good morning to you as well, Kate. Adelaide and Port Adelaide's players will have a quiet day as they prepare for Friday night's showdown at Adelaide Oval. The Crows have to decide how many changes to make to their team after several players got through last night's main session. Alex Neil-Bullen and Jake Saligo look set to return from injury, while the club must also decide whether to bring in Dan Curtin after 1 week in the Sandful, as well as Darcy Fogarty, who's missed a month with a bad back. Port could also bring in Todd Marshall after he missed the match against Geelong because of illness. Still on footy, Giants forward Aaron Cadman would scrap score reviews if he was in charge of the AFL. The league has been forced into a rule change that'll see the ARC now unable to review calls once the ball is already back. The 22-year-old says technology is providing too many grey areas.
Yeah, well, there's obviously a little bit of grey there recently. I think if I was in charge, I would just scrap it all and go back to the old days. There's always going to be a bit of human error in the game, and that's just how it's going to be. But I think it's getting a little bit grey.
Let's go to soccer now. Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich have played out a 9-goal thriller in the opening leg of their Champions League semi-final tie. PSG finishing on top 5-4.
One of the most incredible nights of Champions League football there has ever been.
That call on Stan Sports. Now the return leg for that semi will be played next week in Germany. And in the NBA, the Orlando Magic now have a 3-1 series lead against the Detroit Pistons after winning Game 4, 94-88 in the playoffs. And the Oklahoma City Thunder won through to the next round after sweeping the Phoenix Suns. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thank you, Rennie. Now checking 5AA traffic.
At Albert Park, an nasty crash, West Lakes Boulevard near the railway line causing a few headaches. Got a few delays this morning, driving on the freeway through Cravers near the interchange from that nasty truck crash the other week. Sorting out road damage and barrier damage. And getting quite busy right now, Fullerton Road at the Britannia roundabout. Camera Arthur Street, Tranmere. Harris Scarf massive sale is on now. Save 40% off full price sheets. Exclusions apply. Harris Scarf, great brands, great prices. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now to the 5AA forecast. Mostly sunny today. We're heading for a top of 28 degrees. Warm and 28 again tomorrow, partly cloudy. Mostly sunny, up to 29 for your Friday, before a showery change on Saturday, a top of 25, and then dropping down to just 18 degrees and showers forecast for Sunday. Right now, it's 13 degrees on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
The most frustrating thing about having your car repaired after a collision can be the wait. Sometimes months. At FIVEAA Panel Services, the wait is one thing you won't have to worry about. We've expanded our workshop and our highly skilled team. It means we're better equipped to deliver an outstanding outcome for you and your car. RAA and MTA approved, FIVEAA Panel Services work with most insurance companies. So ask for FIVEAA Panel Services and get back on the road sooner.
This doesn't sound like a conference. This doesn't sound like a work trip. And this doesn't sound like team building. Because conferences and events sound different with Discovery Events. With modern facilities, standout catering and accommodation in 2 premier locations in South Australia, Adelaide Hills and Victor Harbour. Sound great? Visit discoveryevents.com.au, your destination for premier venues in unique locations across Australia.
Are you tired of scrolling through countless websites trying to plan your next holiday? Well, the local travel experts at Spark Travel are just a call away, ready to listen, guide and handcraft the perfect getaway for you. We heard a bit about their wonderful work with our recent trip to Sydney that we gave away. They're based right here in Adelaide on King William Street. Spark Travel is proudly local with plenty of experience helping South Aussies turn travel dreams into reality. Their personal approach makes every journey simple, comfortable and stress-free. From leisurely day trips to spectacular international getaways, they'll make sure your holiday starts the right way. So reach out today for a chat and start planning your next getaway with Spark Travel, where every journey begins with a conversation. Call 8876 5121, that's 8876 5121, or visit sparktravel.com.au.
Thanks to you, Fluorio Milk Company celebrates an incredible milestone. 20 years. For 2 decades, local farming families have woken before sunrise, worked through drought and rising costs, so we can all enjoy the freshest milk available. So, when you choose Fluorio Milk Company, you're part of that 20-year legacy too. Backing local farms, local jobs and local families. Look for Fluorio Milk Company products at your supermarket and let's keep a good thing going.
At Coles, save big on chocolate delights. Right now, get better than half price on Cadbury Roses 380 gram. Now just $9. Save in-store or online at Coles. Offer ends 12 May.
A new way to drive without losing what you love.
Meet the ID range of electric vehicles at Mawson Lakes Volkswagen. Everything you love about Volkswagen, now fully electric. From spacious SUVs to the return of the iconic van. With up to 500 kilometres of range, they're not just for the daily commute, they're built for the open road. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen. EV made easy. Salisbury Highway, just a short drive from the city.
Knock down, build two with Metro Homes. Move into one and keep the other as an investment. Metro Homes, they do it all for you.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
21 to 8. David's off this morning. Sean Fuster's off. I actually caught up with Sean Fuster, our chief court reporter of the Tiser, and the weekend he was recording some Just Lawful podcasts. He's going to be back on deck next week, next Wednesday. Sean Fuster will be back. For those that have missed your true crime fix, of course, you can catch Just Lawful on the wonderful podcast. You can catch up with all those you haven't heard, but Sean Fuster will be back next Wednesday. We always get lots of inquiries as to his whereabouts. Koshy's coming up this half hour. I'm going to talk to him about the changes to academy and father-son rules. The AFL have just announced that, well, frankly, stuff Port Adelaide up royally. We'll see what Koshy has to say. Is he feeling diplomatic or not? I know what I'm hoping for. We might ask him about the economy as well. We're starting to get lots of texts through on what's going to be a big day for the Australian economy. We'll get some inflation data out today with the expectation that it'll be somewhere in the 4.7%, 4.8% range. That's what the market is predicting. Remember, the 2 to 3 target band is where we get rates at a neutral level, neither going up nor down. That's what they're aiming to create. A few texts on this that we'll get to in a moment, Jay and Rob. They're quite appropriate, so we'll get to those in just a moment. But first, a question that is broadly related to this because it's a big driver of inflation in Australia at the moment, but it's one that's difficult to predict. And I'll give you an example. Petrol prices. So fuel at the moment. Yesterday, we had it sitting when we did Fuel Watch. We'll do that again before 9 o'clock this morning. When we did Fuel Watch yesterday, petrol in Adelaide was in the low $70s. I'm talking about 91 unleaded. Low $70s. That's about as good as it's been for quite some time. You might recall that at the height, pre-excise cut in Adelaide, we were getting unleaded up around $3 a litre. Now, here's the difficult part of all this to pass, I think, for a lot of Australians. Because a lot of people, and I was in this camp, certainly early days of the war, coming on the air and talking about the cost of Brent crude, for example, which has historically been considered the best benchmark for Australian petrol prices. That today sits at $111 a barrel. That is, in fact, the highest it's been over the course of this entire crisis. And yet petrol is significantly below where it has been over the course of the last month. $3.70 today versus $3 over the course of this journey. Now, the excise is part of that. That's 26.3 cents a litre. But there's probably 50-odd cents a litre that is therefore unaccounted for. And this is what raises people's hackles when you start hearing the petrol retailers saying, well, you know, Straits of Hormuz are shut. We have to jack up the price. Why is the correlation not as strong as it's certainly made out to be when prices go through the roof? This is why we have Dr. Shane Oliver coming on the program, AMP's chief economist. Dr. Oliver, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Hope you're well.
Yeah, delighted to be chatting with you. So what's wrong here? What's broken? Is it our perception of how strong the correlation between an oil barrel price and the retail price of petrol is, or has something else changed?
Well, I think what happened was the original rise in petrol prices overshot where they should have got to. It went too far. I remember my calculation was something that if oil got to, around current levels, then we would have petrol prices, pushing around $2.10 or something like that, $2.20 maybe. And of course, we went way beyond that. As you said, we got up to $3 in Adelaide. I think the average around Australia and in Adelaide, that the high was about $2.60 for unleaded. So we went way, way above what we should have been. And now we've probably undershot. We've overcorrected back the other way. There are other factors in there as well. Obviously, you mentioned the fuel excise cut. So if we didn't have that, I think GST windfall was also cut, although remains to be seen whether there's any much GST windfall now at all anyway, given where prices have come back down. But that knocked about 30 cents off in total. So if we didn't have that, then we wouldn't be $1.70, it would be around $2. The other complication, of course, is that when oil prices initially rose, there was also an impact on refining costs, and they rose disproportionately, particularly for diesel relative to the oil price. And that's partly because a lot of refined petroleum and diesel comes out of the Strait of Hormuz as well. So that disproportionately rose relative to the oil price. But the bottom line is, I think it just reflects extreme movements in the petrol price that, as you say, are largely unexplained. Initially, the price shot up too high, largely on speculation that oil prices would just keep going. And now it's just overcorrected the other way. So my feeling is that if the oil price stays around where it is today, which, as you say, is the highest in the crisis, 111 on Brent, even on West Texas is $100 a barrel. If it stays around those levels, then we're probably going to see the petrol price start to drift back up again.
If you look around the world at the major indices in the US, even here in Australia and other places, there's been massive volatility over the period of this war. But yet, if you sort of drew a straight line between its start and now, it almost looks like the markets. It's almost if you adjust to take that volatility out of what we've seen. It's almost like the war hasn't happened. Have you been surprised with how markets have reacted to what is a pretty, beyond their volatility, but a volatile situation regarding the supply of oil? That's not clear that's going to be resolved anytime soon. The war continues to drag on. Iran have demonstrated a capability that was entirely theoretical about blocking Hormuz up until this point in time. There's a lot of things that are unclear at the moment, yet the markets are sort of all chugging along as though it's all systems go. Is that surprising?
Yeah, look, I was surprised. Markets only, like share markets only fell about 9%. And I say only, that's pretty bad fall. But last year, the US share market fell 19% on the back of the tariffs. And you could argue this is a bigger shock. If the Strait stays closed, then you're looking at a 10 to 15% reduction in global oil supply. I know we say 20% normally comes through the Strait, but some of it has been diverted across that pipeline that runs across Saudi Arabia. So it's about 10 to 15% reduction. If you get that supply shock, as the International Energy Agency has told us, that's a record supply shock, worse than the 1970s, and oil prices have to go even higher than they are now if it's sustained, and therefore petrol prices will go a lot higher, and you'll have a much bigger impact on economic activity. So I think we're sort of in this bit of twilight zone at present, where we had the initial shock back in March, share markets came down. Then there's been hope of reopening, which has been going on for the last 3 weeks now, I think it is. The ceasefire, Trump always saying, the war's over, they've already won the war, they want to make a deal, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, the Strait just remains closed. And the longer this goes on, the more that reduction in supply will start to impact. And so far you can make an argument that refineries across Asia and elsewhere haven't really cut back their production much. And that's because initially, through much of the last 6-7 weeks, they've still been relying on ships that were still arriving from the end of February. So it takes a while for a ship to arrive from the Strait of Hormuz to get to Asia. And then they've been relying on reserves as countries, including Australia, have released some reserves. But this can't go on indefinitely. And the longer the Strait remains, then I think share markets will start to worry again. Maybe we're seeing a little bit of that. The Aussie share market has been giving up its gains again lately. It recovered around 70% of the fall up until a few weeks ago, but lately it's starting to come back down again, and global markets are still looking a bit shaky. Even the US market was off a bit last night. So I think uncertainty is still very high. I do think Trump will do a taco. He wants to end the war. But it depends on what Iran wants as well. And they've shown they don't have the same firepower as the US, but they've got lots of other things. They've got their drones. They've still got the ability to fire missiles off across the region, and they've still got the ability to shut the Strait. So unless we can get that Strait open, then we're still going to have a problem. Hopefully, Trump sorts something out, and that's my base case. He probably will. He's under huge pressure here. But the risks are immense.
And Dr. Oliver, while we've got you, and just in wrapping things up, RBA, the inflation numbers come out today from the ABS, should I say. Next week we've got an RBA meeting. What's your expectation of the number today? And is it is there anything that could be printed that will, do you think, guarantee a rate rise next week?
Well, unfortunately, the inflation numbers have become very messy because there's monthly numbers, and then there's the headline number and the underlying measure, and then there's the quarterly number.
Yeah.
The ABS, the RBA, so they still focus on. But I think we're going to see quite a sharp rise in the headline inflation rate, probably to near 5%. I think the market consensus is about 4.8. But as always, the underlying rates, which strips out volatile movements, and of course, we saw a 30% rise in fuel costs last month in March. So that's a big driver there. A lot of the focus will be on the underlying rate, but it's also going to be quite high. I think the market consensus is about 3.4%. We've got 3.5%, and that's way, way above target. So whichever way you look at it, the inflation numbers are going to be too high, and the Reserve Bank will also be seeing the same anecdotes that we see. Yes, volatility in petrol prices, unclear as to where that ultimately settles, but we've heard lots of anecdotes about airfares going up, all the way out there to toilet seats and toilets going up 20% price rises. I've heard that a few times. Building materials, plastics, fertiliser costs, which impacts food, these fuel levies, all those sort of things will keep the Reserve Bank nervous. So I think unless we see a big surprise on the downside to inflation, say it only goes up to 4% on a monthly basis, and the underlying rate comes back to 3%, which I think is unlikely. Unless you get that, then the likelihood is they're going to hike rates next week. The money market's saying about an 80% chance of a hike next week.
Good stuff. Dr. Shane Oliver from the AMP, Chief Economist there. Thank you so much for your time. On this Wednesday morning, big news day here in Australia. Still to come on the program, David Koch in a moment. We'll talk footy with Koshy, draft changes ahead. And then after 8 o'clock today, the man charged with fixing the Electoral Commission here in South Australia, the biggest job in town, Tom Rogers, will join us. We'll talk guide dogs with their CEO, Dan Cox. And after 8:30, should lawn bowls be an Olympic sport? The Lawn Bowls Associations across Australia are pushing for this for Brisbane. There's quite a series of games that are going to take place between Sydney and Brisbane starting today to raise awareness about whether lawn bowls should be an Olympic sport. We'll get into that a little bit later. First, let's check traffic.
Morning there at Albert Park. Crash getting cleared West Lakes Boulevard near the railway line. We're slow going right now. Fullerton Road, the Britannia roundabout, getting busy at the moment. Green Hill Road at the Anzac Highway intersection. And pretty slow on the freeway too as they're sorting out the road and barrier damage from that crash at Crafers on the freeway the other week. Camera, Winnifred Avenue, South Plympton. Window seat negotiations going nowhere? Right. Tantrum triggered headache kicking in. That's one for Panadol Extra. Always read the label and follow the directions for use. Incorrect use could be harmful. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Mate, it was so easy. Drop the car into Automasters. Next thing, I get a video on my phone.
AutoCam. It's new from Automasters.
The service advisor is there live doing a real-time report on my car.
Real-time video sent direct to you from your Automasters technician.
He shows me the problem, makes a recommendation, and look, there's the quote.
So good. Totally transparent, instant SMS approval, and Automasters pay later options.
AutoCam. The future of vehicle servicing here now. Call 1300 Automasters.
Introducing the Caliente by Beechwood Homes. A multi-level masterpiece of design, innovation and style. Inspired by the effortless glamour of Palm Springs in California, it's bathed in natural light through clever architectural design. At its heart, a stunning 6-metre island bench anchors a kitchen that's as beautiful as it is functional. The Caliente is open for viewing at 10 Simon Crescent, Craigburn Farm, Saturdays and Sundays 1 to 4:30pm. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home.
If you're after legendary reliability and safety, get a Toyota forklift. Yep, Toyota is still the world's #1 forklift brand, famous across just about every industry for their reliability and safety. That's the Toyota Forklift Advantage. And with great electric options and branches all over the country, find the right Toyota forklift for you at toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift.
In this cost of living mess, you know what really gets people fired up? It's paying a tradie a call-out fee before they've even lifted a finger. So you're already under financial pressure, and then before anyone even looks at the problem you've got or don't have, bang, it's $150 just to show up, which is why we like Precise. Precise are fantastic. See, they do this novel thing where they don't charge call-out fees. None, zilch, zero. They actually respect people's budgets. So they come out, they'll have a look at the job, They'll then give you the price up front before they do it, and then, well, it's up to you. Do you want to go ahead with it or not? So there are no surprises. There's no bill shock. There's no mystery hours that are added later. And it's why Adelaide trusts Precise for plumbing, electrical, hot water and air conditioning. So if you've got something that needs fixing but you've been holding off because you're worried about what it might cost, well, don't stress. Book a free call out with Precise and then you'll at least know where you stand. Respectful service, upfront pricing, no call out fees. That's Precise. Call Precise on 1300 700 200 or visit preciseservices.com.au.
I booked the car into Automasters. Next thing, there's a video on my phone.
Shows me the problem, makes a recommendation, and look, there's the quote.
So good. Totally transparent, instant SMS approval, and Automasters pay later options.
AutoCan, new from Automasters.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Knock down, build two with Metro Homes. Move into one and keep the other as an investment. Metro Homes, they do it all for you.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Six minutes to 8, coming up after 8 o'clock this morning. I said breaking up, but David's not here today, of course, but we will be chatting with a Tom Rogers, the former Australian Electoral Commissioner, who is in town to fix the Electoral Commission South Australia, perhaps like Pavlov's dog. I said breaking at 8 because there have been so many breakings at 8 that have been with regard to the absolutely ridiculous state of affairs with the Electoral Commission here in South Australia. How do you fix it? We'll find out after 8.
And they could never tear us apart.
David Kosh on 5AA Breakfast.
5 to 8. Good morning to you, Koshy.
Morning, Will. Pembo, a showdown injury.
Yeah, I think he is. He's under a cloud. You know, we're foxing. We don't want to reveal whether he's fit for Friday or not at this point.
Groin sawdust.
Exactly. Hey, the power went out at Crows training last night at Adelaide Oval. We're trying to work out whether that's a good or bad omen for which club. Have you got a view?
No, hopefully it's a good omen for us, but what a game it always is.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic.
But really looking forward to it. Crows, great side, and another test for us, which we're looking forward to.
Look, not to put too fine a point on it, Koshy, but you guys have been screwed by the AFL with the new academy and father-son bidding system coming in with no warning instantly this year with Dougie Cochran in the wings, ready to come in. That's how I feel about it, but most importantly, how do you and the club feel about it?
We're furious. It is putting the V back into AFL. Interstate, the AFL talks about fairness and equalisation and things like that. Interstate clubs are already at a disadvantage with all the travel we do. And now to change the rules so dramatically like this and bring them in just months before the draft rather than like the NFL do and, major sporting organisations around the world, they ease them in over a year or over 2 or 3 years. We just bring them in, bang. To give you an example, and this is another sort of, when we came into the AFL, we hardly got any draft concessions whatsoever. You've got Tasmania coming in next year with the draft system. It'll be incredibly compromised. But this year, to give you an example, Brisbane got Will Ashcroft with picks 48, 52, 60-something, 2 in the 60s. If we want to get Dougie Cochran, we're going to have 2 first-round draft picks to get him.
Which means probably giving up an established player.
And that's the dramatic change. Even giving up an established player, we're not guaranteed to actually get him. This is an academy kid that's come through. Then next year, Zemi's Pilot and Louis Salapak come through. Like we're one of the youngest clubs in the AFL, and we're now just starting to get father sons come through. So while every other club's dined out on it, if they're serious, let's put the Ashcrofts back in the draft. Let's put the Dacosses back in the draft, and let's start with a clean slate. How's that for a radical idea for fairness and equality?
I'm sympathetic to the idea that, it's crazy having an Ashcroft, the best young player, going to a side that's already stacked. That sort of runs counter to equalisation, and they want to reform that. I think that's fine. It blows my mind that you do it with no notice in 1 year when sides they've traded draft picks for years ahead, planning around rules that exist. Did you guys make a counter proposal to the league?
Yes, of course we did. And we thought we were being heard, but typical AFL House that they listened to, in this instance, one powerful Victorian voice, and that's it. But to change it so dramatically and bring it in so swiftly we are just furious about it, and it encourages rebuilds when people should be trying to compete every year. The better we do this year, the worse it is for us.
Well, it's a counterfactual that will never play out, but I just wonder if it had been the year that Nick Dacos was set to go to Collingwood, would the rule have been brought down immediately? Yeah. Well, we'll never know, but we can just wonder.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Put them all back in the draft.
Yeah,
come on. Let's. If you want fairness and a level playing field, it won't happen. But hey, why not?
Yeah. Hey, Koshy, before we let you go today, are you going to be looking at the RBA's inflation data that comes out today, sort of peeking between your fingers? Because it could be a scary big number, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could be up around the 5% mark. We all know why, because of the oil price. Nothing to do with us as consumers and Australians. And the consequence of that could be yet another interest rate increase, on top of the increase in oil prices. And Australian households are just getting crushed. You look at household and business confidence figures absolutely plunging. Consumers and businesses drive this economy. You've got to be the Reserve Bankers have got to be careful it doesn't tip the economy over into a pretty nasty economic recession, which no one will want. And also the federal budget's due the following week after the Reserve Bank decision next week. So why not just hold off for at least one board meeting, and see what the federal budget's going to do and how the Middle East settles down, is my view.
All right. Well, recent history with other things, Koshy tells us sometimes people don't wait. They just bring things in straight away. Good on you, Koshy. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Will.
Local news and information first. This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
28 degrees and mostly sunny for Adelaide today. With the 8 o'clock news, good morning. I'm Kate Collins.
Need a crash repairer you can trust? FIVEAA Panel Services delivers expert care to you and your vehicle.
Investigations are continuing into a huge fire at Harndorf that destroyed a popular Indian restaurant last night. The Mustard Seed on the main street went up in flames around 8:30. Luckily, it was closed at the time. Sharon is staying in a motel nearby.
We thought, oh my God, it's a motel. Then we realised it was next door. There was fire engines everywhere, and you could tell the roof was gone. The roof was glowing and there was smoke everywhere. And we just sort of hung back and watched the fires and thought, oh, do we pack our cases? But the fires did a great job, and they were lucky because there was no wind, so they didn't have to worry about embers. And I'm very sorry for the people who own the place because it looks like a complete mess.
The fire caused more than $2 million damage. Senior Constable Matt Hale says fire cause investigators have attended the scene.
We would really like to speak to anyone who saw any suspicious activity in the area or who may have CCTV or dash cam footage. If you can help, please get in touch again through Crime Stoppers 1-800 333 000.
A man has been reported for drug driving after allegedly crashing into several parked cars on Anzac Highway. Police responded to reports of a Nissan utility driving erratically at Glandore before more calls came in reporting multiple cars had been damaged in the area on Anzac Highway. Police were quickly located the Nissan and the 28-year-old man from Modbury North. He allegedly tested positive to drugs and was reported for drug driving. A $2 million AI camera system designed to detect bushfires has spotted almost 90 unplanned blazes since it was installed 2 years ago. The 8 cameras are located throughout the state and help to identify a fire's location, severity and proximity to people, infrastructure and firefighting assets. Minister for Forest Industries, Claire Scrivens, says cameras have detected several notable bushfires early.
And that includes the Foxfire near Lucendale in March last year. But others have been linked to vehicle fires, electrical faults and also escaped burn-offs. So really important work that's happening here through this investment in AI.
The fire danger season officially ends tomorrow night in South Australia, but authorities are warning South Australians to remain vigilant. The King has stressed the importance of the US and UK's commitment to upholding democracy during a historic address to American Congress. King Charles referenced the uncertain times globally and warned the alliance cannot rest on past achievements. He says diverse and free societies give the countries collective strength.
That's why I believe with all my heart that the essence of our two nations is a generosity of spirit and a duty to foster compassion, to promote peace, to deepen mutual understanding and to value all people of all faiths and of none.
And an Australian-first robotic arm is transforming treatment for Parkinson's patients. The breakthrough allows patients undergoing deep brain surgery to be sedated. Sydney Adventist Hospital neurosurgeon Dr Brian Owler says it's making the life-changing procedure more accessible.
We're really proud that this is the first operation of its type in the whole of the Asia-Pacific region. So really being proud to be able to offer that type of surgery with the robot for DBS here at the SAN.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Gliderol Garage Doors, over 50 years strong. All colours, all styles, all street appeal. Gliderol.com.au.
Good morning, Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Kate. Port Adelaide Chairman David Koch has slammed the AFL's decision to change the rules on how clubs are able to draft in father, son and academy picks from this year's draft. It's been confirmed a suite of changes will be introduced, meaning if the Power wants to bring in the likes of Dougie Cochran, Lewis Salopek and Zemi's Pilot in the next few years, they'll have to pay maximum tote odds to get them. That's a stark difference to what's previously happened for other clubs, including Brisbane, who boast the likes of the Ashcroft brothers, Jasper Fletcher and Daniel Annabelle, who they received in the draft just gone. Koch telling 5AA Breakfast it's laughable.
To change the rules so dramatically like this and bring them in just months before the draft rather than like the NFL do and, major sporting organisations around the world, they ease them in over a year or over 2 or 3 years. We just bring them in, bang.
Both Port and the Crows will have a quiet day ahead of Friday night's Showdown 59. To soccer, Paris Saint-Germain have beaten Bayern Munich 5-4 in the opening leg of their Champions League semi-final tie. And in some cricket, it was Ricky Ponting's Punjab Kings who had their first loss for the season. They went down by 6 wickets to the Rajasthan Royals. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thank you, Rennie. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Morning there at Albert Park. Delays clearing from that earlier smash, West Lakes Boulevard near the railway line in Port Road. We are slow right now, Fullerton Road at the Britannia roundabout. Getting quite busy, South Road, Mile End and sluggish on the freeway at Crafers for those repair works for road and barrier damage from that truck crash the other week. Got a camera setting up right now too, Doothie Streets at Malvern. Adventures await with exceptional offers across the Mercedes-Benz SUV range. Visit your nearest Mercedes-Benz retailer today. Terms and conditions apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
And now to the 5AA forecast. Mostly sunny today. We're heading for a top of 28 degrees. Warm and 28 again tomorrow, partly cloudy. Mostly sunny, up to 29 for your Friday, before a showery change on Saturday, 25 degrees, and dropping down to just 18 and showers on Sunday. Right now, it's 19 degrees on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Hi, I'm Bronte Manuel from Toop and Toop. Interest rate rises have created uncertainty for some buyers and sellers, but demand continues to outweigh supply. Stock levels are currently sitting around 26% below the 5-year average, keeping competition strong. In a market like this, the right advice matters. You need an agent who understands the data and knows how to guide you to a successful result. With over 40 years of experience, Toop & Toop knows how to maximise your outcome. Visit toop.com.au.
Hi, Brady Bit here for Mawson Lakes Mazda with a little secret of how you can get behind the wheel of a new Mazda. You can unlock their end of financial year deals early. You heard right, we can give them to you right now. That's immediate delivery on all makes, models and colours. Plus low-K demos must go. No gimmicks, just early end of financial year deals and the best customer support for you and your shiny new Mazda. Mawson Lakes Mazda, Salisbury Highway, just a short drive from the city.
Your old hot water system can drive as much as 40% of your energy bill. Fortunately, you can upgrade to something that's 70% cheaper to run thanks to Right Price. They're the leaders in heat pumps and installation. Now's the time to upgrade and save money on a more efficient hot water system and take advantage of government incentives and free installation. Reduce your energy costs today with a heat pump from Right Price. Make the switch with Right Price Hot Water.
At Right Price, heating and cooling, you can get the price right at Right Price.
A smashed or damaged windscreen can happen in a heartbeat, but it does get worse if you don't go to your local Complete Windscreens to get it fixed. You can be waiting weeks, and look, that's not on. Complete Windscreens has windscreens and glass for all makes and models in stock right now with 15 technicians standing by to get you back on the road. You don't need to wait. Tell your insurance company you want Complete Windscreens on the job, completewindscreens.com.au. Look for the big red koala.
In Adelaide and across South Australia, this is 5AA, always Adelaide.
Then I saw her face.
Knockdown, build 2 with Metro Homes. Move into one and keep the other as an investment. Metro Homes, they do it all for you.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
9 minutes after 8, beautiful sunny day in Adelaide today. It'll continue right through till the showdown. If we get a showdown on Friday that is 0.1 degrees over the forecast max of 29, our resident statsman Ben Jordan tells us it will be the hottest max for a showdown in its history. So it's entirely in play. Coming up on the program this half hour, we'll be chatting with the CEO of Guide Dogs SA, Dan Cox. We got a big fundraiser that's on today. It's International Guide Dog Day. So we'll be talking about one of South Australia's most beloved charities. Then after 8:30, this is fascinating, I think. There is a push on for lawn bowls to become an Olympic sport. And, of course, we have some control over this with the Brisbane Olympics coming up. We'll get to put in some things, you know, it's breakdancing and surfing and other things being added in recent years or demonstration sports. Should lawn bowls be an Olympic sport? Your answer might be yes, but maybe your answer is, well, there's something else that deserves to be an Olympic sport. 8223 is the number. We'd love to hear your suggestions. We will be hearing from Bowls Australia's president, Ian Evans, the former leader of the Liberal Party here in South Australia, after 8:30. The biggest job in South Australia right now, though, is getting to the bottom of what in the heck went wrong with regard to the Electoral Commission of South Australia's handling of the recent state election. It is one thing we take for granted in this country, that elections work. They just work. They always have. The litany of errors that happened in this state election defy belief. Failure to pay staff who worked on the day. Technology that failed so spectacularly that people turned up to vote and found they couldn't. Votes that were lost and found weeks after the election. That will be an enduring punchline about South Australian elections for the rest of our lives. And in the last 24 hours, a Legislative Council vote that's still ongoing with the Legislative Council set to sit next week. The idea is they're going to have the count done the day before Parliament resumes. The whole thing was an absolute farce. Well, our next guest has been charged with getting to the bottom of what happened with the election review. Tom Rogers, a former Australian Electoral Commissioner. Good morning to you and welcome to 5AA Breakfast.
Good morning, Will, and thanks for having me on.
Tom, in your vast experience, I mean, I don't think it's unfair. I think the perception is in this country and outside it, we do this really well. What can go wrong on election days? How can things spiral out of control?
And Will, let me back you up on a couple of things you've just said there. Elections in Australia normally run really well. In fact, internationally, we're known for the way in which elections are conducted. And that's critical because people really need to have confidence in the process and trust the outcomes. But it is a complex thing, and it needs to be well run, and it needs to be really operationally excellent. So that's a critical thing, because if it's not, things really start to cascade when it's delivered. The things that you've just said, if it's not run well, there are queues, there are other issues that start to emerge, and it really becomes complex.
Presumably all these things are within your remit that you'll be having a look at. Is there any one that stands out to you as of particular import, or something that, with your expertise, you're particularly intrigued in getting to the bottom of?
No, I'm intrigued in getting to the bottom of all of it. Well, as you've said, this is so important. And look, I haven't formed a view yet. It's day 2 for me. But what I do want to do is to try and identify some stuff fairly early that might need to be changed in time for the local government elections that I think are later this year. So, it'll take me a while to get to the bottom of everything, but I want to have a look very quickly at some things that might need to be changed right now to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
I appreciate you can't pass judgment on the various elements that I've spoken about this morning. As we say, the investigation is ongoing, but I'm broadly intrigued by some of your thoughts on some of the things that did come up in the election that are part of the broader conversation around how elections are going to be run in Australia into the future. For one, the use of technology. Do you see utility in broadening out the use of technology at elections in future, despite we had some issues with it here in South Australia?
Look, that's a really interesting question, Will, and it's a bit fraught, because whenever you start talking about technology and elections, people start running down and thinking we're talking about electronic voting or voting online. I think there is, of course, a role for technology in assisting how elections are run, and that occurs at most elections globally now, in any case, including federally, with the electronic mark-off for the roll and all of those sorts of issues. So technology is important, but if we're using it, it has to be done well, has to be implemented well, designed well, and actually assist the process, not actually deter people from voting.
Do we have an issue at the moment? I know this is not volunteer work, a lot of people are getting paid, but
right.
Is it harder than it has been in the past to attract people to work on election day?
When I finished as the Federal Commissioner at the end of 24, we were experiencing increased difficulties in certain areas of getting staff. It's an issue, not just for elections, by the way, but for a whole range of organisations. And that's something I'll be looking at very closely. I know there were issues with staffing, and I want to get to the bottom and work out what happened with that and why that was the case.
There's a specific issue with regard to the speed at which the Legislative Council vote has been conducted after this election, but it's often a complaint we get from our listeners post-elections, the speed at which votes are counted and winners are declared. Are you comfortable, again, I'm not speaking specifically necessarily about South Australia, but across the spectrum in Australia, could we speed that process up, or are you pretty comfortable with the way it happens at the moment?
So again, I'll be careful here, Will, with how I answer that. So I'm not talking about the specifics in South Australia at the moment, because I think that needs to be looked at in detail. Electoral commissions in Australia and globally are bound by the legislation. The legislation determines the speed of the count, when they count certain things, how it occurs. And so that legislation is critical. And of course, the commissions have to follow that legislation. If they didn't, that would be a whole other issue. But I think people need to also remember there's paper involved, which is complex. But regardless, I'll be looking at every aspect to make sure it's delivered within the legislative framework that's been set up, and to make sure it's as efficient as possible.
It seems all roads when it comes to issues in Australia lead to federalism at one level or another. We have independent electoral commissions here in South Australia and other states that do the state, and then the AEC that you've been the head of that's running the federal election. Does that serve the voter well, do you think, having that a system, a two-tiered system administered independently of one another?
I think we've had a great system of federalism in Australia, not just for elections, Will, and I think it works very well. And I'd just point out that there is a pretty good connection between the commissions. For example, the Federal Commission manages the electoral roll mostly on behalf of the State Commission. So there's already a good link there. But let's be clear, delivery of those state elections is a state matter, not a federal matter.
All right. Well, good luck with the role, Tom. We look forward to your findings, and hopefully, as you say at the start, it'll be in place for the local government elections and things can go smoothly. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me on, Will.
That's Tom Rogers, the a man charged with conducting the electoral review here in South Australia, former Australian electoral commissioner. A few texts on the text line, 048008 1395. A few new sports being nominated for the Olympics. Peter in Westlake Shore wants beer pong to be an Olympic sport. Oh, well, it's Brisbane Olympics, I suppose. Thank you for that, Peter. The tuna toss, says Rob, for an Olympic demonstration sport. We go wooden tuna or real tuna? Or is that it's not PC these days? You can't do the real tuna anymore, can you, Rob? Thank you for that. Someone said, Kaz, our good friend Kaz, says, if curling is a Winter Olympic sport, then lawn bowl should definitely be a Summer Olympic sport. Thank you, Kaz. We'll be getting into that story a little bit later after 8:30 with the lawn bowls here in Australia, really pushing hard to get it included as an Olympic sport. A few other texts. Darren says, in talking about the litany of things the Electoral Commission got wrong, don't forget Cooper Pedy not having polling stations on the actual day. Darren, that is my error. I should have added it to the list. Unfortunately, we're running out of time if I start listing all the things they stuffed up. But you're right, that one only got rectified the day beforehand because we spoke with Connie Benaros, who was at a wit's end about people not being able to vote there. Lots of texts on various other issues. Few people with thoughts about the inflation data that's coming out today. Rob says if we're about to hit high inflation at 5%, the US is actually prosecuting the war as at 3.3. Who's doing a better job with their economy? Well, we were above 3.3 before the war started, which is part of the issue here, Rob. And then we're more vulnerable to supply shocks when it comes to oil as well. So, yeah, it's going to hurt us more than it's going to hurt them, which is extraordinary to think about. Jay sent us a really long text, Jay, and I appreciate this because I agree with a lot of this. I can't read out the whole thing, but essentially he makes the point that the whole system with inflation and the management of it is broken because the RBA can only play with interest rates, not the economy as a whole. The federal government needs to do its job and manage the economy. Jay goes on to talk more about that. I couldn't agree more, Jay. And I'm reminded of that wonderful Winston Churchill quote that democracy is the worst form of government except for all the other forms. This is a problem because federal governments are beholden to what's popular, and raising taxes and cutting spending is never popular. But they are precisely the things you need to do to fight inflation. So we will see what they do with a massive majority at the federal budget, because if you're ever going to be mature about it and take responsibility for trying to get things back on track, now is the time you both have to and can politically afford to do it. So we'll find out. Thank you for that text, Jay. We're going to check traffic, come back in a moment talking guide dogs. I wonder if any of our listeners have ever raised or trained a guide dog. The people that do it, I'm just in awe of. Wonderfully diligent volunteers who get these dogs doing extraordinary things. I always find both the dogs and the people that look after them are just remarkable, but we'll talk more about that in a moment. Let's check traffic.
At Crayford, barrier damage on the freeway following a previous truck crash is causing a few delays this morning. It'll be slow across the day. Also getting busy South Road at Mile End, getting slow Fullerton Road at the Britannia roundabout. And do look out for those works at St Mary's, Alice Road near Barnett Avenue going up the hill. They always are slow in the morning. Camera right now, Duthie Street, Malvern. Just look for the big van on the side of the road with the funny windows. Shop the new Healthy Care Magnesium range today at Chemist Warehouse. Find Healthy Care in-store and online today. Chemist Warehouse, great savings every day. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA Sports Show. Rowie and Timmy G.
Here's a thought. Your second ruck is Riley Thilthorpe. Pull the bloody Band-Aid off and just do it. Rankins your class. Play him on ball. Oh, we're gonna. No, don't gonna. The gunner's finished.
Adelaide's only local sports show.
You know all of this. Your midfield. Oh, my God, against the good teams.
The 5AA Sports Show. Weekday afternoons from 4 on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
The future of driving is here at Solitaire Volkswagen with the all-electric Volkswagen ID4 and ID5 available now for immediate delivery. Combining cutting-edge technology, effortless performance and sleek design, they're built for a smarter way to move. Experience the next generation of driving today. For April only, purchase a Volkswagen ID5 and receive a complimentary accessory package valued at $1,000. T's and C's apply. Drive electric today at Solitaire Volkswagen, Hawthorn or Prospect.
This is SAS Australia versus England.
Ryan Maloney.
Got to keep our neighbours and stay there for 30 years. I'm going to pass these calls.
Mac Horton.
I've never been tested like this.
New SAS starts tonight, 7:30 on 7.
Now, Adelaide, the Samtas catalogue sale ends April 30. These are the final days, and it's strictly while stocks last. So if you've been waiting, well, this is the time to act. There's a huge range of $15 a kilo seafood deals, plus, of course, the famous 4 kilos of premium seafood for just $60. Perfect to stock up the freezer and lock in real value before it's gone. And don't miss this, South Australian king prawns, perfect for a warm Adelaide evening. We've got a few of those coming up as well. Plus, large Australian barramundi fillet portions, just $27.99 a kilo. Smart shoppers are already in, filling the freezer, saving money and buying bulk while stocks last. You're not going to get these prices anywhere else. And while you're there, you're supporting South Aussie fishermen as well. Samtash showcasing an abundance of West Coast, Great Australian Bite and Southeast fish. Plus, they've got fresh oysters ready to go. Samtash Seafood, Richmond, 201 Richmond Road. Open 7 days, free on-site parking. Final days, don't miss out.
Calling all South Australians aged between 18 to 60. Here's your opportunity to advance medical research while you earn. CMAX is seeking healthy volunteers to join a clinical trial testing a potential treatment for a type of lung disease. Eligible volunteers will spend 7 nights at the CMAX clinic in Adelaide CBD and attend 2 follow-up visits. Following trial completion, participants will be paid for their time. Ready to make a meaningful impact? Apply today at cmax.com.au.
CMAX. Hi, Daniel Talia here, General Manager of Home. That's HAUME. Put simply, we buy homes. If you've received a letter from us in your mailbox, don't throw it away. You may be throwing away a golden opportunity to sell your home at market value. With zero effort, advertising fees or commissions, you'll save thousands of dollars. If you've received a letter from us, it means we're serious about buying your home. For more info, visit home.com.au. That's HAUME.com.au.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
Knock down, build 2 with Metro Homes. Move into one and keep the other as an investment. Metro Homes, they do it all for you.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
24 minutes after 8. David's off today, and he'll be missing this because it's a day we love each and every year. And if you're watching on the Facebook and YouTube live stream, you might even be lucky enough to spot a dog in the studio. Merlin is with us in the studio alongside Dan Cox, the CEO of the Guide Dogs SA. Dan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Thanks for having me.
It is Guide Dogs Day today. It's International Guide Dog Day as well, and you guys are looking to raise $350,000.
Yes, ideally that's our target, Will. We have a really extensive training programs for our puppies in training, and it's a significant cost to get a puppy from their starting point to a successful guide dog placement.
What is the cost that goes into it?
It's more than $50,000.
Wow! Each dog is $50,000.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, that's extraordinary. Is part of that finding people to train the dogs?
Well, we have a combination of volunteer and staff programs. So we have an amazing range of volunteers who help us raise puppies, and they also work very closely with our dedicated dog trainers because it's a really onerous process to get a puppy up to scratch.
They're just... Honestly, it's like magic whenever you see these dogs out helping people. And I mean magic in the sense that I can't get my head around how clever these dogs are and the things that you can get them to do. You talk about the monetary component. What about the time commitment in the process from puppy to working guide dog? How long does it typically take?
Yeah, so we generally receive the pups at about 8 weeks old, and they're trained for about 2 years before they get to be placed with their handler.
Are they all labs?
We only have labs.
Yeah. So it takes 2 years. The bit that I always find hard, because the people that do this work, and you see them out and about and they're so good, you can see them when they're in training, they've got their little cover on or when they're working. They love these animals. It must be tough for them to give them up after 2 years, or do they do that knowing they're probably training another one? Surely
yeah, we have a number of people who've helped us raise puppies, more than 20 times, and our volunteers are amazing. Sometimes they'll have them just for a week here or there, but others will have them for that whole 2 year period of their training. They do become like family, but they all recognise that they're playing part in a process that helps people achieve independence.
What do people get wrong or misunderstand about guide dogs or underestimate?
I think they probably underestimate how onerous the process is. I think the assessment process includes 180 different items or skills that a guide dog needs to demonstrate, and possibly also how to interact with a guide dog when they're being handled in the street.
Oh, I've seen that. I remember we had someone at our hockey club that was training a guide dog when everyone got very comfortable with the idea, touch it when it's training. It's got its, what do you call the outfit that it wears? The jacket that it's got on. It meant it was learning at the time. Watching that dog develop was just quite extraordinary. Jess has got Merlin in the studio here. Merlin is now a working guide dog or still in the process?
So Merlin's been through his training, but he's been lucky enough to get a job as an ambassador dog. So he attends a whole lot of community events and things like this.
Very comfortable in front of the camera, I know. You've got multiple photographers here, and Merlin's having no issues whatsoever, just posing up for the cameras, doing a better job than I am, and that's for sure. So the dogs component of is one part, the trainers is another. If people are listening to this right now, obviously we'd like them to give money today. It's a really important day to raise money for this fantastic charity. But if people go, I love animals, I love dogs, I've got some time in my life where I'm in a position where I'd love to be part of this. Can they do that? Can they contact you guys?
Absolutely. We have avenues on our website for people to be able to register as volunteers. We actually have a number of volunteer roles, including the hands-on dog-related activities, as well as a lot of the corporate and fundraising type of events that we run.
I think we might just get you to move your little bit of paper there, Dan, because I think it's just flicking your microphone on and off.
Apologies.
This new digital world, it's all touchscreen here. It used to be buttons, and it used to be tactile, and they couldn't interrupt things. But that's fantastic. Well, look, I hope you get the $350,000 total today. I'd love our audience to help you out and get involved as much as possible, and I reckon we would have hundreds of potential volunteers listening as well that would help you guys on your journey. So you. Jess and Merlin, I hope you all have a wonderful day.
And last plug, Will, guidedogsday.com.au to donate, and keep an eye out for some of Adelaide's big icons being lit up in orange tonight.
Fantastic. Orange for guide dogs. Terrific. Good on you guys. Thanks for coming in.
Cheers. Thanks.
MotoGP is coming to Adelaide in 2027. But South Australia's bike racing moment starts now. ASBK Round 3 hits the Bend, May 1 to 3. Free GA Friday and epic superbike racing all weekend. Get your fix now at thebend.com.au.
Mark Boris is the mentor who keeps choosing stories over spreadsheets and keeps feeding those big ideas. So keep good company with the Mentor podcast.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Mostly sunny today. We're heading for a top of 28 degrees in Adelaide. With the 8:30 news, good morning. I'm Kate Collins.
Had a collision? Get in touch with FIVEAA Panel Services and have your car returned to its former beauty.
A huge fire has gutted a popular Indian restaurant at Hahndorf. The mustard seed went up in flames around 8:30 last night. It wasn't open at the time and the cause is being investigated. Sharon's staying at the motel next door.
We just saw lots of smoke and the glow. At one stage they said, it's under control, and then it sort of got really red. I thought, I don't know about that, but the fire is keeping us way back. The roof is definitely gone, and being such an old building, they might have to demolish it and start again. You just got to hope they're well insured because construction costs have gone up so much.
The damage bill is estimated around $2 million. It's been revealed the restaurant owners were in court 2 days ago for ongoing legal matters involving the business. Police are asking anyone with information about the blaze or CCTV to contact them. A drug driver was caught at Glandore last night after crashing into multiple cars on Anzac Highway. The 28-year-old man from Modbury North tested positive to meth and cocaine and was reported for drug driving. Luckily, no other drivers were injured. 2 men have been robbed at Dudley Park last night. The pair were walking along Pym Street at 11:30pm when they were approached by a group of males who threatened them with a knife before making off with their phones, jewellery and a backpack. The males, described as Caucasian in appearance, wearing dark clothing, and some had their faces covered. Police searched the area with police dog Webster, but the suspects are yet to be found. The victims were not physically injured during the robbery. Analysts predict inflation could reach a 3-year high, as much as 5%, driven by a surge in fuel prices due to the Middle East conflict. It could see the Reserve Bank consider another interest rate hike when the board meets next month. Nationals leader Matt Canavan says that's not what households want to hear.
It's not good timing for the Australian people. We've got to remember that even before this fuel crisis, inflation was the highest in the developed world.
The United Arab Emirates says it's leaving OPEC, the group of oil-producing countries, dealing a major blow to the cartel. The Gulf state's energy minister has told CNBC the decision is purely a policy change and has dismissed suggestions it's a rejection of production cuts led by Saudi Arabia, adding it will have minimal impact on oil prices but give the state more flexibility.
The closure of the Strait of Hormuz is restricting the flow of crude from the Gulf to the world. So with this situation, situation, you need to do strategies different than any time before. This has nothing to do with any of our brothers or friends within the group.
Experts are urging parents to avoid taking medical advice off sites such as TikTok. New research has found the cost of living crisis is showing a decline in general doctors' visits across the country. The AMA's Dr. Nick Yim says not everything online is correct.
And what are the repercussions if they get it wrong? I think it's one of those things as whilst we all wish that there was a magic pill to fix everything, we need to take the history into examination and see there's an alternative diagnosis, and that's where your GP comes in handy.
Jared Dawson, the brother of Crows captain Jordan Dawson, will be farewelled by family and friends today. A celebration of life will be held at the Robe Football Club. The 35-year-old is survived by his wife and baby son. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
For security, safety and style made to order, choose Gliderol Garage Doors. Gliderol.com.au.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kate. Port Adelaide Chairman David Koss says the club is furious at the AFL's decision to change the rules surrounding father-son and academy selections from this year's draft. The club is just about to have several players available to choose, including Dougie Cochran, Lewis Salapak and Zemi's Pilot in the next few years. But unlike previous years when other clubs have been able to bid for players and get them quite easily, the new rules make it far more difficult. Kosh making his feelings known with Will on 5AA Breakfast.
We're furious. It is putting the V back into AFL. You know, the AFL talks about fairness and equalisation and things like that. You know, interstate clubs are already at a disadvantage with all the travel we do.
Sydney defender Tom McCartan, meantime, is expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks with a knee ligament sprain. And a blow for Brisbane, with Oscar Allen set for 3 months on the sidelines with a fractured foot. A big boost for South Australian cricket with Test opener Jake Weatherald set to play for the state again after spending the past 3 seasons with Tasmania. Meantime, the Rajasthan Royals are now up to 3rd on the IPL table after beating the Ricky Ponting-coached Punjab Kings by 6 wickets overnight. It's the first loss of the season for Ponting's side, but they're still sitting half a game clear on top. To soccer, Matilda's vice-captain Steph Catley has signed a 2-year contract extension with Arsenal. Meantime, Paris Saint-Germain has beaten Bayern Munich 5-4 in the opening leg of their Champions League semi-final tie. And Live Golf is set to postpone the upcoming Louisiana event in the latest development about the league's financial situation. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thank you, Tommy. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Morning there. Roads are looking too bad this morning. Got a breakdown to keep an eye on this morning at Croydon Park, North-South Motorway near Regency Road. We are getting busy. Fullerton Road to the Britannia roundabout, driving in through Dulwich. Also a bit sluggish too at Ferryden Park for works. Regency Road near Days Road with cameras Arthur Street Tranmere. I've got one right now, Duthie Street at Malvern. You can now book an RAA approved repairer online. Just head to the RAA website to find your local repairer. You know you can trust them because RAA do. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
And now to the 5AA forecast. Mostly sunny today. We're heading for a top of 28 degrees in Adelaide. Warm and 28 again tomorrow, partly cloudy. Mostly sunny, up to 29 on Friday before a showery change on Saturday with a top of 25 and then dropping down to just 18 degrees in showers forecast for Sunday. Right now, it's 20 degrees on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
The most frustrating thing about having your car repaired after a collision can be the wait. Sometimes months. At FIVEAA Panel Services, the wait is one thing you won't have to worry about. We've expanded our workshop and our highly skilled team. It means we're better equipped to deliver an outstanding outcome for you and your car. RAA and MTA approved, FIVEAA Panel Services work with most insurance companies. So ask for FIVEAA Panel Services and get back on the road sooner.
Your business has most likely been targeted by a cyber attack. You just don't know it yet. Often the future attack hides quietly in your system, watching, waiting, learning how your business works. That's how most attacks start. FX IT helps Australian businesses find threats early before they become crippling. Don't be the easy win for cyber criminals. Book your free security audit now at fx.com.au/protect.
Most people don't realise there's a better way to do insurance than going direct to an insurer and hoping for the best. The best insurance brokers work for you, not the insurer. And Frank Iadarola from B Frank Insurance is absolutely one of the best. They have been for over 35 years. Frank and his team work out what you actually need. They don't make assumptions. So whether you're running a business, building your asset base, or just trying to make sure you've got the right cover without the headache, this is where B. Frank Insurance shines. No pressure, no confusion, no fine print surprises, business cover, professional indemnity, public liability, motor and fleet. Frank knows it all, and look, he'll give it to you straight. Call 1-800-B-FRANK or visit bfrank.insure. That's bfrank.insure.
This doesn't sound like a conference. This doesn't sound like a work trip. And this doesn't sound like team building. Because conferences and events sound different with Discovery Events. With modern facilities, standout catering and accommodation in 2 premier locations in South Australia, Adelaide Hills and Victor Harbour. Sound great? Visit discoveryevents.com.au, your destination for premier venues in unique locations across Australia.
When you need capability, solutions and expertise for major projects, that's a Kennards Hire job.
Hi, Kennards Hire.
For 24/7 customer support, talk to our experts today.
Kennards make your job easy.
Oh, geez, it's hot in here. Can someone pass the Morford air? Oh, that's better.
When the temperature is too hot or cold to bear, reach for the Morford Air, Adelaide's own homegrown family air conditioning company. Morford Air has kept South Australians perfectly comfortable for over 50 years. So when it's too hot or cold to bear, you can always reach for the Morford Air. Look for the bright blue building at 602 Marion Road or visit morfordair.com.au.
Morford.
Knockdown, build 2 with Metro Homes. Move into one and keep the other as an investment. Metro Homes, they do it all for you.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
21 minutes to 9. Want to round out the program this morning before Graham Goodings takes over after 9 o'clock with a little bit of a brainstorming session. What sports should be in the Olympics? We have control of this, of course, with the Brisbane Olympics not too far away. Which sports should be added to the Olympics? Because we're getting to the point, what are we at now? April 2026, nearly May 2026, when some of those sports are beginning to put their hands up. And so lawn bowls in Australia is the first to have done it. Now, on the text line, divided people, our listeners, about whether lawn bowls is or is not an Olympic sport. Happy to take your thoughts on that, 8223 but also happy for you to nominate others that you think should be represented. The way lawn bowls are kicking off their Bowls for Brisbane 2032 campaign is with World Bowls, Bowls Australia, Bowls New South Wales and Queensland are carrying out what they're calling the world's farthest game of lawn bowls. It starts today. Our guest is Bowls Australia President Ian Evans. Ian, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will.
So what does the farthest game of lawn bowls entail?
What it entails is rolling specially made lawn bowls from Balmain in Sydney to Windsor in Brisbane. So essentially from the old Olympic Stadium in Sydney to the new Olympic Stadium in Brisbane as a promotion of lawn bowls being hopefully in the 2032 Brisbane Olympics.
Is bowls a global sport, lawn bowls?
Yeah, no, bowls is played in over 63 countries worldwide. Australia is currently the number one country worldwide in competition, but it's a sport played right across the globe, and it's growing. I think they're planning to have it in 80 countries in the next 2 years.
Now, do you guys have a rough idea how many people play lawn bowls in Australia year on year?
There's about 2 million, just under 2 million people participate in bowls in Australia every year. Not all those in the formal pennants competition. A lot of that's in what you would know as barefoot bowls or social bowls.
Yep.
But there's 1,750 clubs in Australia, and it's actually one of the oldest sports in Australia. It was established 180 years ago. It's older than the AFL, lawn bowls in Australia.
What's the process? This pitch begins today to get lawn bowls into the Olympic Games. Who do you have to impress, or who do you have to make the argument to?
Well, essentially the Brisbane Olympic Committee, and then through them the World Olympic Committee. There's about 40 non-Olympic sports currently bidding for about up to 6 possible places in the Olympic movement. So there's 40 sports doing what we're doing, trying to promote themselves to the Olympic movement, saying that our sport is quintessential Australian. There's 1,750 bowling clubs around Australia. Up to 2 million people a year play bowls. And if you want a sport for any gender, any ability and any age, bowls is your sport.
Yeah, well, getting a lot of support through on the text line from bowls enthusiasts team that would love to see it in 2032. So we'll be watching the campaign very closely. Good to chat with you, mate. Thanks for your time.
No, pleasure, Will. Thanks for the time. See ya.
Ian Evans, Bowls Australia's president. Well, let's take some calls on this. 8223 Should lawn bowls be in the Olympics? And if not, what should be? As Ian Evans just said, there's 40 sports competing right now around the world saying we need to be in. Let's take some calls. Stephen, Bellevue Heights, good morning.
Good morning, guys. I think it should be. I've got a couple of them, actually. I suggested the Hawaiian Ironman because it's like 3 marathons in one.
So hang on, so how does the Hawaiian Ironman differ from the normal Ironman events?
Okay. They do a complete marathon. They swim, I forget how many kilometres, and then there's a full cycle race.
Wow.
And, it is absolutely grueling. Another one I'd suggest would be darts.
Darts is a good idea.
Level. Darts.
Absolutely. Well, darts, what a huge spectator sport it is around the world now.
Absolutely.
I don't mind that, Steve.
Can you imagine darts and lawn bowling?
There you're talking. There's sports Australians could get behind. You don't need to have a cardio program to work to compete at the highest level for those. Robin Seaton, good morning.
I spoke to you last week about playing like piano accordion. As a top-level croquet player, I do believe that lawn bowls, when it comes to Commonwealth Games, lawn bowls are the only activity not drug-tested.
Is that true, is it?
True, mate. And, the same process of the handicapping in golf, it's the same process for croquet. It's down from -3. I've got a handicap of 2.5.
Well, good on you, Robert. So croquet could be added to the 2032 Olympic Games. Good to chat with you. It's a good opportunity for anyone to come and, speak for the sport that they are passionate about that might not be mainstream here on 5AA this morning as well. Is that true? Lawn bowlers aren't tested for drugs? Aren't there drugs that they give, like, fighter pilots to sharpen their awareness and so forth? Surely there is some form of performance-enhancing drug that could be used in lawn bowls. What a thing to be contemplating on a Wednesday morning. Let's go to Northlake Downs. Brett, good morning.
Good morning, Will. I reckon do wood chop.
Oh, now you're talking, Brett. With all the different weight divisions.
Yeah, exactly right. And I used to love seeing it on TV and when I went to the show and all that. It's one of the things where people were really watching into it and all that, and I reckon it'd do really well.
Wood chop's a great idea. I think Australia and New Zealand seem to do pretty well in that in this event as well. And what's more, from a 5AA perspective, Matt Pantelis could be part of the Olympic coverage. How good would that be? You got Bruce anchoring the coverage, throwing to Matt Pantelis now at the wood chop. David says handball, croquet, motocross. Now, that would be motorsport at the Olympic Games would be something. Wojo says, wouldn't mind seeing Ray Gun make a comeback. I'm not sure what the status of breakdancing is at the Olympic Games. Yet to be determined. I'm happy to have that one drop off. Happy to have 3-on-3 basketball drop off. I love basketball. 3-on-3, it's not a sport. Imagine 2-on-2 football or something. Well, it's not a thing. Now, we also have Brett saying UFC for the Olympics. And I originally read that text and I thought, well, no, you couldn't have UFC, but why not? Boxing's at the Olympics. Every weight division of boxing's represent the Olympics. How many great boxing professional careers started as amateurs? Muhammad Ali, and then went on to become professionals. UFC is much closer, I think, to something that will be contemplated seriously in future than I first thought when I read your text, Brett. The more I thought about it, the more sense that one actually does make. Breakdancing, Paddy says, is not at 2028 in LA. Does that mean that the last place finish that we got in Paris will forever be the worst performance in Olympic breakdancing competition? Potentially, I think. Unless we bring it back, says Paddy, for 2032. 8223 0000 or text us on 044808 1395. What sport should feature at the 2032 Olympics? Should it be lawn bowls, like the association say, who are today starting the farthest roll. They're rolling bowls from Sydney to Brisbane.
Morning there at Croydon Park, a breakdown on the North-South Motorway near Regency Road, but that should be cleared up pretty soon. We're getting quite busy at the moment at Fullerton Road near the Britannia Roundabout, driving in through Dulwich, and quite slow Brighton Road, Glenelg East. Look over those works at Westbourne Park at the moment. They're quite slow as we speak. Goodwood Road near Carlisle Road with the camera, Duthie Street, Malvern, and that is there right now. Go blue to end bullying on Do It For Dolly Day, Friday, May 8. Wear blue, get involved and make a donation at doitfordollyday.org.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blocking up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on, or your hot water is gone, or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Precise.
Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Call 1300 700 200. That's 1300 700 200. For fixed price services, call Precise.
For a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Call Precise.
A new way to drive without losing what you love. Meet the ID range of electric vehicles at Mawson Lakes Volkswagen. Everything you love about Volkswagen, now fully electric. From spacious SUVs to the return of the iconic van. With up to 500 kilometres of range, they're not just for the daily commute, they're built for the open road. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen. EV made easy. Salisbury Highway, just a short drive from the city.
Life seems to find its rhythm in the Grampians and Wimmera Mallee. Hikes and walks where you finally take a breath. Towns made for slow wandering. Eateries and stays that feel good for the soul. Then come the sunsets, the kind that slow you right down. And dark skies where the stars feel within reach. Feels like exactly what you need. Just like the stars, a stay here is closer than you might think. Visit grampians.com.au.
Did you know that you can get involved in important medical research happening right here in Adelaide? If you're generally healthy and aged between 18 and 65, you might be eligible to help CMAX trial a potential treatment for autoimmune disorders. Eligible volunteers will spend 4 nights at CMAX, attend multiple visits and get paid for their time. Your participation could bring hope to the 5% of Australians affected by autoimmune disorders. Interested? Apply today at cmax.com.au.
Knock down, build 2 with Metro Homes. Move into one and keep the other as an investment. Metro Homes, they do it all for you.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
10 to 9, Graham Goodings taking over after 9 o'clock. Before we get there, I want to road test a road safety idea with you. This one comes to us from New York City, and I'd just love your instant reaction to whether you think this is a good idea or not. 8223 0000 is the number. It actually comes about. It's a news item again after being floated late last year on the east coast of the United States because of a police officer who has been caught 547 times since 2022 speeding. Police officer in his pickup 547 times since 2022. So it's reignited a debate around a measure to curb bad driving behaviour that I think is intriguing and worthy of your verdict as the 5AA Breakfast audience. They're calling it the Super Speeders Law, Super Speeders Bill. The way it originally was, the idea came about, and it got heavily changed after this, but it was particularly punitive. The way it would work, it would require devices that limit the speeds that cars can go if a motorist had 6 or more camera-issued speeding tickets or red light tickets in a 12-month period. So the idea would be that in the event you sped 5 times and you ran one red light in a 12-month period, you would be compelled to install a speed-limiting device on your vehicle at your expense. According to the research done in the legislation that's currently being discussed, it would cost about $1,000 US for the person. So it's effectively a $1,000 fine and you get speed limiting technology. Now, I think our natural reaction to all this is to say, well, just cancel these clowns' license. If you're repeatedly doing the wrong thing, if you can't abide by the law, you don't get a license. But what do we know about that in Australia? Well, it's the same thing they know in the US and the UK and other places that have a criminal justice system similar to ours. They know that courts are very reluctant to take licenses away because the argument always is, well, that person can't live their life. They can't go to their job. They can't earn a living. It potentially sets them on a much more dangerous path than even speeding. Now, whether you agree with that or not, we know that's how it works, which is why this idea came up in the US. This idea being, well, you can still go and drive your car, but it will have a device that will mean that car no longer goes more than 61 k's an hour, whatever it's required for you to drive around and do the job that, of course, we wouldn't want to steal from you. Maybe it's an area where it would only be 50 k's an hour. What do we think? Instant reaction, folks. A super speeder law that says once you get to a certain point, yes, okay, we in Australia, we understand that a licence is important. It's a big part of someone's independence. But you have to put a device. This is not science fiction. This is a debate that's happening in New York right now. Is there merit in it for Adelaide, Australia? It's gone through a committee, and you know what committee do these kind of things, so they've changed it to all sorts of bits and pieces. But that's the central theory behind it. 8223 0000, or text us on 0448 08 1395. A super speeder law that says after you get so many speeding fines, your car no longer goes above the speed limit. Does it make sense? Or are there some pitfalls, unintended consequences? Give us a call, 8223 0000, or you can text in on 0448 08 1395. A lot of texts have come through with regard to the Olympic Games and what sports should be included. I'm laughing at Scott and Modbury's text. He's got a habit of making me laugh, Scott. He says, Will, who are you kidding? Breakdancing at the Olympics could happen for the rest of eternity, and Australia will always have its name next to the worst performance in Olympic history. Thank you for that, Scott. Andrew says lawn bowls should be included as an Olympics sport. The sport now is a younger following. Dad coaches school kids. It's been one of the Commonwealth Games core sports since 1930. Graham says we need boomerang throwing. Brad makes the joke that lawn bowls is too dangerous because more people die playing that sport than any other. Thank you, Brad. Nola has managed to, I think, punch a hole in what was one of the more exciting theories of the morning, and that was that lawn bowls is the only sport that doesn't require drug testing. Nola says, I'm about to trial for the state over-60s bowls team, and we have had to complete an online course on anti-doping and testing. So maybe doping does exist. Paul has an interesting idea. Paul says, this is, Australian, leaf blowing should be in the Olympics. I'm not sure. Is leaf blowing like artistic gymnastics where you try and put together a beautiful pile of leaves and the pile is then judged by, people from Ukraine and France and Saudi Arabia or whatnot? Or is it about blowing the leaves off of your lawn as quickly as humanly possible? I'm not sure. We need to work on that one a bit more, Paul, but I don't mind it. Another person says dodgeball. Scott and Modbury is on the line. Scott, your texts crack me up, mate. Good morning to you.
How are you? No, it's pointless. You'd have exactly the same issue that you'd have before. They'd get the thing put in their car, then they'd drive another car, then we'd catch them. And then since the judicial system's still too weak to put them in jail, nothing's going to happen. I mean, you can't fix stupid, but you can fix weak judging. And just start, if we even have to build a prison just for these guys, just for people that do, not your hardcore stuff, just for dumb people, so they don't turn into worse people, and then just throw them in there. It's like, mate, we've given you 4 chances. You're going to lose a year of your life.
Yeah, well, you're not going to hear any protest here, Scott. Mate, thank you. On the text line, there is some support, but some people pointing out one of the pitfalls, which Scott did. And interestingly, in reading the debate at committee stage in the US on this, the issue of speed limiting vehicles, the point was made, it's hard to guarantee compliance, which is always going to be the issue. People that don't care about the law typically don't care about the punishment. Catherine says the speed limiter is a fabulous idea, but it doesn't stop people getting into a different car. Josh says we should 100% install speed limiters. It's ridiculous that you can buy a production car that goes 300 Ks anyway, even if you're doing the right thing. And Len makes the point, even though courts are loath to take people's licence away because of the inconvenience, that's the punishment. Len says part of the punishment of losing your licence is the inconvenience. So something to think over there. Anyway, a live debate that's happening in New York. We have the benefit of watching it unfold and seeing how it works in practice if they go that far. Speed limiting vehicles. You keep breaking the limit, guess what? Your car now goes 60 max. Interested to see more discussion on that as we progress. Let's have a look at the fuel situation. That's been a big topic this morning, of course, too. Shane Oliver did a wonderful job a little bit earlier telling us why the fuel price we're paying at the moment bears no relation to the oil barrel price. It's better to be a member with RAA Road Service. The cheap spots, unleaded Liberty Port Adelaide, $69.5. The average, $71.5. So, again, it's pretty good here at the moment when you consider the oil barrel price is, as we speak, higher than it's been over the entire period of the war. Diesel, the cheapest, the Shell Mansfield Park, $2.36.9 and $2.37.5 at Melrose Park.